Harris and also Waller counties. We've been monitoring this cell, tracking it. As a matter of fact, it was previously a cell that we were keeping a close eye on for rotation. Now the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for this cell that's moving to the northeast. Folks that are in this polygon, Tomball, also Magnolia, you're in this tornado warning that's in effect until 1:45 p.m. It's currently 1:16 p.m. We're talking at least about 30 minutes as this storm will be pushing to the north and the east. So as of right now, if you are in this polygon, please do take cover. If you have loved ones in this polygon, you want to get to your safe spot, okay? Cities are in the path of this storm. Does include Magnolia, Decker Prairie. If you are in these cities, we're talking 1:20, 1:26 p.m. that this storm will continue to push to the northeast. Also, Echo, 1:42 p.m. is what you can expect. Huff Smith, if you're tuning in from there, you're in the path of this cell also that is likely to push through your region. Whether it continues to hold together some rotation or not, we're still talking about the threat of a very strong storm entering into your viewing area. So again, no ground confirmation of a tornado. We have had signatures as we've been watching the cell move through the Waller region, continuing to push northeast, and it holds together still a little bit of rotation with it. So we've seen greater signatures throughout today. As a matter of fact, we already had a confirmed tornado around Columbus and Eagle Lake earlier this morning, or earlier this afternoon, should I say. Now, the signature with this does not look as impressive as what we have seen, but Blake actually just circled this with me. Blake is manning the radar with me this afternoon, and we're seeing some circulation here. So whenever we have green shaded colors along with red, notice as red's highlighted just a little bit, that is where we're seeing the greatest amount of rotation with this tornadic storm, possibly. So again, nothing is confirmed, but we do have to let you guys know if you are in this pink polygon, if you're tuning in from Stagecoach this afternoon, you are in the path of what could be a tornado. As of right now, we're just seeing rotation on radar, heavy rain, lots of lightning with this. Can't rule out some hail. That's possible also. Needless to say, this storm is dangerous. So it's not only this tornado warning that is ongoing as of right now. Taking a look at widespread what's happening across our viewing area, we still have an active thunderstorm warning as well. This thunderstorm warning, as a matter of fact, is the same cell that has the history of producing a tornado. Remember the tornado confirmed already? I mentioned we had ground confirmation around Columbus. National Weather Service later on today will go out there, survey the scene, survey the damage. But that cell is what is still on the severe side. Heavy rain, lots of lightning, still sandwiched in between I-10 and I-90. It's actually now pushing through I-90. So Eagle Lake seeing some heavy rain and lightning and likely some hail at this moment. If I recall, Hail Tracker was actually noticing about 2-inch size and diameter hail that was possible with this storm. So that's pushing eastward, moving kind of quickly, at least compared to earlier. Here's our hail tracker that meteorologist Blake just put on. When we have purples that are popping up on hail tracker, that's some large hail that is possible, up to 2 inches in diameter. Anything that's over 1-inch size in diameter is considered severe size hail. That's going to cause some damage, and that is riding along 90 as of right now with this severe thunderstorm warning. So tuning in from that region, hearing some rumbles of thunder, that is what we're tracking. A couple of pockets of some strong to severe storms, but our main concern on this Friday afternoon is an active tornado warning, which includes parts of Harris, Montgomery, and also parts of Waller County. So here's the core of the storm. The reason why the pink polygon extends east of that is because that is where this storm is moving. So notice it kind of trajects northeastward, and that's cities such as Magnolia, Ventura, also Tomball will be in the path of this storm. So we're taking a look at velocity. This red shaded circle, that is showing us what's going on with our winds, and winds are very important. We need strong rotating winds in order to have an actual tornado, and it's something that shows us and that we've been tracking with this cell, that we're seeing a little bit of rotation when we have these green shaded colors combined with red shaded colors. Green is indicating winds are going towards the radar, red is indicating winds are going away from the radar. So that's causing a little bit of a cyclonic circulation. And that is what the reason why the National Weather Service has issued an active tornado warning. So Blake is keeping a close eye on the National Weather Service chat room where we communicate with them. Is there any new information coming out of there, Blake?
Not at all. This tornado warning in effect until 1:45. At 1:12 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Hockley, or 8 miles southwest of Pinehurst, moving northeast at 15 miles an hour. Now, this is an area I'm very familiar with. I grew up here in Montgomery County. It's very wooded, and these tornadoes are very short-lived in nature. They touch down and they lift up just as quickly. So if this is not going to be one of those situations where it's going to be good for Instagram, or you're going to want to take a nice picture of it. This is going to be hidden behind pine trees. It could often be rain wrapped. Okay, so you're going to want to put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. Stay as low to the ground as possible. If you have a bike helmet or a motorcycle helmet, if you're in the path of this storm, now is going to be a good time to strap it on and again ride this thing out as it moves east fairly slowly at about 15 miles an hour. Now the town of Magnolia, this is going to be just to the north of that circulation. We've also got Tomball out here in northwest Harris County. So if you're familiar with this region, Spring Creek actually forms the county line between Montgomery and Harris County, and it runs kind of like right through there. So this particular tornadic storm is just crossing over into southern Montgomery County. So if you see the warning and it says for Harris County, I want to emphasize that it is an extreme northern portion of Harris County. So those of you out in Tomball, yes, you are included in this particular tornado warning, but I think the circulation is going to stay generally just to your north. You'll notice out here it says to the right of your screen, it says Woodland. Well, that's the Woodlands right there. So this is going to be pushing along the backside. Those of you out along 2978, Honey, Egypt. Let's see what else is out here. Stretching all the way back towards Ventura and Magnolia. Again, this is where we're seeing the cell. Now, we have an unconfirmed report that a tornado briefly touched down earlier out near the town of Waller. No confirmation on that. Again, an unconfirmed report that a tornado briefly touched down near Waller, but now this storm is now pushing into southwest Montgomery County. Now, one of the things that we look for in a particular tornadic cell is a lot of lightning. Okay, we're not seeing a lot of lightning with this particular cell. The other thing that we look for is hail. Oftentimes they say if a storm is strong enough to produce hail, it is strong enough to produce a tornado. So let's take a look at the hail tracker. And we'll put the radar into now mode, and we'll look at the hail track. And yes, it is producing a little bit of hail, but it's not really big hail. In fact, as I go right into the brightest colors here, I'm showing less than an inch in diameter. So that is actually below severe threshold as far as hail is concerned. So the other thing that we're going to look at, of course, is the velocities. That's going to be the most important thing, because velocities obviously means wind with direction, right? It means speed with direction, velocity. And as we take a look at the velocity scope, give me just a second to turn that bad boy on. And there it is. And you can see that I'm not very impressed with this, and you shouldn't be either. And the rotation that we're talking about is going to be right there in the center of, give me just a second here to clear that out. Let me try this one more time. Sometimes with live television it gets a little hokey on you, but there it is right there in the center. And draw this on. So there's the circulation right there. And basically what we're looking for is bright reds and bright greens coming together. And Erica, as you see, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of bright red, and I'm not seeing a lot of bright green either. But certainly it is just enough, especially considering the storm's history so far this morning, the amount of tornado touchdowns, either confirmed or unconfirmed so far today.
Yeah, and that's kind of the trend of what you should take away from this afternoon storms, that they're kind of hit and miss. They're pop up, they're strengthening, they're weakening. The atmosphere is very unstable. They're doing what they want. They're becoming tornadic storms that haven't had a history of it. So needless to say, you got to stay weather aware. This is why we're breaking into programming. This in particular tornado warning it did have signatures of rotation, then it quieted down, and now it grew strong enough for the National Weather Service to issue it as an active tornado warning. It does not have the ground confirmation, and now we're mentioning that it's weakening a little bit. So the signature, not very impressive. Needless to say, that's just a signature for rotation. It does not mean that it's not packing a punch with heavy rain as of right now. As a matter of fact, Magnolia, if you're starting to hear some heavy rain right now, that's just the start of it. This storm is beginning to push to the north and the east. Ventura, we're starting to have some lightning strikes detected around your region, and that's going to be the case as this system continues to push to the north and the east. Tomball, you primarily just have light rain right now. If you peek out to the west, which I don't recommend it because you should be in your safe place, as a matter of fact, but if you were, hypothetically, that's where you'd be seeing the strongest of the storm.
Erica, I'm sorry, I don't mean to step on you, dear, but we've got a brand new tornado warning. This one's going to be, oh gosh, let me see here. Tornado briefly. Right. So we have talked with one spotter. Tornado briefly touched down. Give me just a second. Still going through this. So this tornado warning is going to be in effect for Austin, Colorado, Fort Bend, and Wharton County until 2 o'clock. Okay, this tornado is on the ground. Okay, at 1:24, a confirmed tornado was located over Eagle Lake, moving east at 15 miles per hour. So again, those of you watching from Colorado County, Eagle Lake, this tornado is on the ground right now. What you're going to want to do is put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. Stay as low to the ground as you can. Get inside an interior bathroom, preferably one with no windows. And if you have a bicycle helmet, now is the time to put it on and ride it out. Again, this is a brand new tornado warning, and we're just getting information here from the National Weather Service that this tornado has now lifted, so it briefly touched down across southern portions of Colorado County. Again, looking at the radar, zooming on in on this, Erica, and this is something maybe you could talk about. We've been talking about the red and green velocities all morning long, and maybe you can go over this here. You can see they look pretty good.
Yeah, and you know what, Blake, and everyone who's tuning in, this is the same storm that had already a confirmed tornado for the Columbus region, also a confirmed tornado just west of Eagle Lake. So like I mentioned just moments ago, these storms are pulsating, so weakening, they're strengthening, and then they're weakening yet again. But this same cell already has a history of producing a tornado, and now we have another confirmed tornado as the system continues to push east. So here's what we're tracking: strong rotation indication there. What we're seeing are winds going towards and from the radar. Again, take a look at just how large this tornado warning is. So let's go over the cities of who should take cover if you're in this pink polygon, okay? We'll talk about this for right now, and then in just 1 second, Blake, if you want to zoom in. But East Bernard, Tavern, Powell Point, Kendleton, if you're tuning in, you need to take cover right now. This is a dangerous storm which already has produced, as of right now, at least a couple of tornadoes. Let's zoom in a little bit closer, see if there's any other cities that pop up. Lizzie, looks like you're in the path of this storm, and if I'm mispronouncing these cities, I apologize. Blake, correct me if I'm mispronouncing them, okay? I am new to the area. I came from Central Texas in Austin, so not too far, but still learning the small city names here. Chesterville, you are in the path of this storm as well. Looks like Wallace. Our main concern will be if you are in the pink shaded polygon.
Yeah, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here, Erica. We've got 2 active tornado warnings. Again, one briefly touched down. The good news here is that it appears that perhaps maybe this tornado near Eagle Lake has lifted. But still a vigorous rotation down there in Colorado County. This is, if that is indeed true, this would be the 2nd or 3rd tornado touchdown just in the last hour in Colorado County. So you guys are really taking it on the chin down there. The other one, an unconfirmed report of a tornado touchdown near the town of Waller in northwest Harris County, briefly touching the ground and lifting back up. But that storm has now re-strengthened, and therefore a new tornado warning has been issued for South Montgomery County. So I want to talk about that storm as well. We've got a lot going on here this afternoon, so we're going to kind of split our attention between 2 cells. The first one that we're going to talk about is southwest Montgomery County. This is going to be to the west of the Woodlands near Decker Prairie. This is going to be out the Tomball Parkway, Tomball, northern Harris County, but the rotation itself, Erica, it appears to me There you go. Looks to be increasing there, just crossing over into southwest Montgomery County. So I can't stress enough, Pinehurst, Decker Prairie, south of Magnolia. If you are in the town of Magnolia, this is likely going to pass to your south. This is a very rural part of town. Again, you're not going to be able to see this very well because first off, there's a ton of pine trees up there. If you've ever gone through northwest Harris County or southern Montgomery County, you've got these huge loblolly pines that really obscure the sky. So you're not going to see this coming until it's right on top of you. So again, we can't stress enough. And there you go, Erica. You see that the green really beginning to light up there, which is an indication that rotation may be strengthening.
Yeah, let's take a look at the time because this radar, it's looping from the last hour and a half or so. It's quick moving, so you're going to have to catch it quick, but notice we have some light grays, and then as it continues to push to the east, the greens start to pop up. That means we're seeing a better indication of some stronger winds and tightening rotation within this cell. So, like we've mentioned, these storms are going in and out. They're kind of weakening and then re-strengthening, and this storm in particular, which already pushed through Waller. So Waller, if you're tuning in, you're out of the woods with this one. You're now on the backside of that storm. Now it's the folks in front of that storm that we're worried about. So cities that Blake just mentioned, Magnolia, Pinehurst, Decker Prairie, you're in the path of this system. So as of right now, we do not have any ground confirmation with this cell, but it is still definitely on the active side. Heavy rain, lots of lightning, regardless if you're not actually seeing any rotation out there. Not that you should be. You should be in your safe spot within your bathroom. Get in a closet if you can. If you have any loved one in this area and you are tuning in right now, please give them a call. Make sure they are being safe because we do have the possibility of a tornado on the ground. So most of it is just radar indicated with this system. Needless to say, it is a dangerous storm that we're continuing to monitor. So that is just one of the 2 active tornado warnings. So we're breaking into your daily programming because it is a very active weather day. We have been ongoing since this morning. Already a couple of tornadoes at least confirmed as this whole entire system has pushed in from overnight central Texas, part of South Texas. It's all associated with a very broad area of low pressure in the upper levels of our atmosphere. So here is tornado warning number 2. This one's in effect for another almost 30 minutes, okay? This is a storm that we have mentioned has a history of already confirmed tornadoes out in Columbus, just west of Eagle Lake. We do not know if it stayed on the ground from Columbus down to Eagle Lake. National Weather Service will go out, whether it's later on today or it's a busy day for them, so possibly tomorrow, to kind of give us that ground confirmation exactly of the path of this storm. But take a look at this rotation. We have a very, very broad area of circulation there that we're monitoring. Again, red is going away from the radar. Greens are going towards the radar. Notice just how bright these greens are. This is what we're monitoring. Traveling along 90. Lizzie, you better be in your safe spot as of right now. This is likely a tornado on the ground. As of right now, again, this warning has the history, this storm has a history of already producing tornadoes on the ground. Lizzie, you're in the path of that storm as we travel east along 90 East Bernard. If you live anywhere around this region, that storm also has a history of producing tornadoes on the ground. So, hey, we also have some more updates on what's going on right now.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about the National Weather Service here. We're getting lots of reports here, of tornadoes briefly touching down near Eagle Lake. So we've got a report here of a tornado that has turned into a waterspout near Eagle Lake. And again, these tornadoes seem to be touching down and then lifting up. So these are what we call jumpers. These are not long-lived tornadoes like you would expect to see in Oklahoma or Alabama or Mississippi. Our environment doesn't really, is not conducive for those kind of tornadoes. But nonetheless, this is now the 3rd report that we have gotten of a tornado on the ground near and just to the east and southeast of Eagle Lake. And ironically, near the town of Matthews. Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
So this is moving to the east, and these are moving very slowly at about 15 miles an hour. And one of the things that we spoke about earlier is the general flow of these storms is to the northeast, but you'll notice that the orientation of this is moving almost due east, and that is what we call a right-hand mover, and that's important because sometimes these storms become so intense that they create their own environment and they kind of move independently of the upper level flow, and certainly we've got a storm strong enough now that may have indeed produced a tornado that is currently on the ground.
Yeah, that's a specific storm that Blake was just mentioning. So it does have a different path than the other storms that we're monitoring, and right now continuing to push along 90. Notice, even though you're not in the pink polygon, just north of that, there is a yellow polygon around that, which is a severe thunderstorm warning. So the heaviest of the rain, hail up north, and then we are likely seeing the tornado on the southern part of that cell. So a couple of other storms we're tracking. Let's go back to tornado warning number 2. That's still in effect. This includes Harris, Montgomery, and also Waller counties. Heavy rain, still some lightning, and
wow,
look at that rotation. Have you been hanging out with us the last 15 minutes? We were chatting about this. Notice how distinct it is now. That is a very good, that's a good signature right there. It's been in and out, but this is the strongest that we've seen throughout this afternoon. Hey, meteorologist, Chief Meteorologist David Paul just walked in the Weather Center with us. Pretty much the whole team is here just about, and we're monitoring this, trying to keep you guys safe. If you are in this pink polygon, this is the area you really want to take cover because, guys, this is a very, very good tornado signature.
Erica, you caught it. I mean, look at the the tornado vortex signature we're getting there. What you're looking at is inside the storm. The Doppler radar is able to see inside, see the motion of the raindrops. When we get these colors, these hot colors right there south of Stagecoach, coming together with those cooler green colors, that tells us we've got a tight little rotation right there. And so folks along Spring Creek, right there on the border of Montgomery and Harris County, going to split the uprights here between Magnolia and Tomball. So folks on Highway 249 north of Tomball, that's the path of that storm as it's heading northeast. Looks like, Erica, it's moving at about 30-35 miles an hour.
Yeah, so this one's moving much quicker than the other storm. That is a very fast-moving storm. Now, folks that are in the path of it, again, Stagecoach, look at where you're at as of right now. Straight into your region right now, Magnolia. Also, you're in that pink polygon. Guys, you need to take cover. Make sure your loved ones are taking cover. Make sure you have a safe spot. That safe spot, most interior room in your home, a bathroom, a closet. Give yourself some extra protection if you can. Might sound silly, a mattress over your head. You really want to protect all of that as of right now. So Blake has an update. What's going on, Blake?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Erica. So one thing that we've noticed here is I want you to look at, and earlier I told you, I said, you know, I wasn't very impressed with this system, and you shouldn't have been either. There was no reason, but look how this thing has just blossomed. So what we're looking at here, to get a little meteorological with it, is what we call gate-to-gate shear. Okay, when you see that bright green dot appear in a sea of red, that is very, very concerning. And then the other thing I'm looking at is how bright those colors are becoming. You get that bright green and that bright red very close together, and that is a couplet. Now, if you're familiar with the area, or maybe if you're just new to the Houston area, northwest Harris County and South Montgomery County, I mean, that's the beginning of the piney woods. We've got very tall loblolly pines that block the view. Not good storm chasing area at all. So if you're at your window, you're under this tornado warning and you're looking for this thing, you're not going to see it until it is directly on top of you, and then it's too late. So again, I can't stress enough, those of you just right along Spring Creek, and Chief Meteorologist David Paul is watching right along with me. David, this thing is moving right along Spring Creek. I mean, so I'm thinking just north of Tomball, just to the south of Stagecoach, to the west and the...
Zoom in a little bit, you can see Pinehurst, Decker Prairie, a couple of neighborhoods that are in the path of this storm. If it continues to hold together, those are the neighborhoods right there along 249 as it goes into Montgomery County. And at the moment, yes, neighborhoods right along Spring Creek in northwest Harris County. That's where we've got that that couplet, as you mentioned, where those bright colors and the cooler colors are coming together. You saw the radar sweep go by with an update. We still have a very strong signature there. That's rotation right over Spring Creek, and that's the spot. So Decker Prairie, Pinehurst, folks, if you're watching, You need to take cover in an interior room of your home on the first floor, away from windows, until this storm system passes. And it's going to take about 15-20 minutes to pass through Pinehurst and Decker Prairie.
And this is going to be just to the north of FM 2920 and just to the west of 249. So that's the Tomball Parkway west of Tomball, again, right along Spring Creek. So the Spring Creek is the dividing line between Harris and Montgomery counties. So those of you watching in more populated areas, if you are along the back of the Woodlands, Honey, Egypt, 2978, these areas, you need to watch this very, very carefully. And Erica, as you can see there once again, that the colors there are really popping pretty hot.
Yeah, this is probably the strongest signature that we've seen so far this afternoon, especially with this cell in particular. So again, no ground confirmation, but we are breaking into your programming because there are 2 active tornado warnings. This one includes, or just right now, south and west of Stagecoach. If you are in Decker Prairie, you want to take cover right now. Here's the signature we're talking about. We've mentioned a lot about greens and reds. What do they mean? Well, on velocity, that's showing us what is happening with the winds.
Real quick, Erica, sorry to interrupt. We have a new information here from the National Weather Service. They continue to say confirmed tornado on the ground. This is going to be for the storm near Eagle Lake once again. So we're going to give up. We're going to not give up. We're going to move to our Colorado County storm currently because this one continues to be on the ground as of 1:37. So 4 minutes ago, we still have confirmation that this tornado is on the ground. And now East Bernard, those of you watching from East Bernard, this storm is headed your direction. So those of you out along Highway 60, down there in portions of, let me zoom out here so you can kind of get a better idea as to where we're at. So this is going to be extreme northern Morton County now this storm is moving into. So those of you, East Bernard, it's going to be the biggest town in the path of this particular cell right now.
Yeah, the pretty good population out there. I know a few folks that live out in East Bernard. So please make sure you're tuning in. This storm is heading straight to you right now. So traveling right along 90. Here's where 90 intersects with 60, like Blake was mentioning. That storm is just riding straight along 90. So notice we still have a good signature. This is the same storm, the same system that did bring in a confirmed tornado in Columbus. It has a confirmed tornado out in the Eagle Lake region. We do not have enough confirmation to know if the tornado has been on the ground the whole time. That is something that we'll be able to get more information from as the day progresses or even into tomorrow as the National Weather Service does some surveying on that damage. But this warning is in effect for at least another 15 minutes as of right now, but I think it's going to be extended. Take a look at just how large this pink polygon is. That's because it's moving to the east and they don't expect it to expire anytime soon. So again, we are seeing ground confirmation already of a tornado on the ground. This is just south of Eagle Lake now. Eagle Lake, you're starting to become on the back side of that storm. And then folks that are in the front side of the storm, Lizzie, Chesterville, East Bernard, Taverner, excuse me if I'm pronouncing these names incorrectly. Again, I'm the new girl in town, all right? Here's what's going on, though. Heavy rain still ongoing north of that pink polygon. And again, this is just one of the 2 active tornado warnings that are in place as of right now. This is going to be ongoing. Obviously, the trend of these storms, they're pulsating, they're weakening, they're strengthening, and it's been the same thing. So as far as what's going on, it's already a start to an active Friday afternoon, and I don't see it kind of calming down, at least until this entire system is out of our viewing area. So, hey, the whole team is in the Weather Center as of right now. So, Blake, any updates on National Weather Service chat as of now?
Not yet. We're going to toss it over to Chief Meteorologist David Paul. David, we've got one tornado on the ground, maybe a debris signature beginning to show up there in Eagle Lake, another one that's very concerning in southwest Montgomery County. What do you got for us, man?
It's not often that you see that strong of a tornado signature in southeast Texas, but the storm over Eagle Lake appears to be producing what we call a debris ball. It actually the debris that the spin in the winds of the tornado is picking up, swirling around, and the radar is picking up on that. The radar can see raindrops, but can also see pieces of debris in the air. And so as we zoom in on this cell, so there's Eagle Lake, here's Highway 90. This is going to be just south of Chesterville. There's Matthews, there's Bonus. So if you're watching us from here, make sure you take cover right now. Interior room of your home, away from windows, on the first floor. You want to be in a structure that has a foundation. A mobile home is not safe during a tornado outbreak such as this. And this one, and Blake, you mentioned this earlier, this one out here near Eagle Lake is bending off to the right. It's a right mover. When we see that, when we see the path begin to bend off to the right of motion, that tells us that there is a very strong circulation, a very strong rotation, and it's like a curveball. As a pitcher throws a baseball and it curves, the baseball is spinning. That's why it curves, and that's exactly what's happening with that system. So that's the one out to the west side. There's Sealy, just to set your bearings. There's East Bernard. Strong storm near Belleville, but let's go up to this. Okay, we can zoom in on the Belleville storm. So Belleville, very dangerous cloud of ground lightning here, brief heavy rain. I see we've got a flood advisory over northern portions of Austin County as well. So be very careful. Those secondary roads can become flooded in a hurry. And I've noticed that for the moment, they have dropped the tornado warning for this storm that has now moved into southwest Montgomery County. There's Magnolia. There's Tomball.
Wow.
Here's Highway 249. Yeah, we're still getting a pretty good signature of circulation here. They may have dropped it in preparation to reissue it. But this system, again, this is southwest Montgomery County. There's Tomball. Here's Highway 249. There's your 99 connector. The Klein area is here. The storm looks like it's going to pass right between Magnolia and Tomball. So it's right along Spring Creek right now. That's the border of Harris County and southern Montgomery County. You need to take cover in an interior room of your home, away from windows on the first floor. That's the safest place to be. Quite often, this type of a circulation will produce a small tornado, an EF1 and EF2, winds to 100, 110, 120 miles an hour, which is not the strongest tornado winds, but they're strong enough to break branches, and that debris can then break glass, and that flying debris, especially broken glass, is what can become very dangerous during these situations. That's why interior room of your home, away from windows, as close to the center of mass of the first floor of your home as you can be, that's the safest place to be. The green box, which is now in effect here for southern Montgomery County, northwest Harris County, Tomball area up to Magnolia, that's a flood advisory. That means street ponding, minor street flooding is happening, but that can be dangerous, obviously, if you're out driving around in this. So be very, very careful on the roads, and you want to just stay put where you are until that storm moves on. If this were to hold together, you know, maybe Conroe, maybe the Spring area and the Woodlands, you might be in the path of that storm. They have not reissued the tornado warning yet. And Blake, if you want to check the chat and give me an update, let me know.
I was just actually typing. You probably hear my fingers.
I can hear you typing.
Yeah,
yes.
So I was asking, are they going to reissue this tornado warning? Because, you know, the circulation, we've been following this for quite a while, is about as robust as I've seen it. It's looks pretty good to me. So I'm waiting on an answer from the National Weather Service.
Can you go ahead and scan that again? Let's take a look at that circulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we look at this, so this is the part of radar that makes it Doppler radar. This is the radar being able to look inside the storm, and it can see not only the raindrops falling, that's how we know how heavy the rain is, but it can see the motion of the raindrops, whether they're moving toward or away from the radar site. And so right here, and in fact, Blake, if you wanted to put this up on the latest so it's not looping, right here where we've got these hot colors and these cool colors coming together, that tells us that we've got a rotation right here. The brighter red colors are raindrops that are moving away. The radar site's down there in League City, so they're moving this way. The raindrops on the green are moving that way, and we've got a circulation. And Blake, if you wanted to draw in a little circulation right in there, that's where we've got exactly. So we've got raindrops moving this way here, raindrops moving that way. That tells us we have a circulation there. So Tomball, Magnolia, it's not on top of you yet, but it's very, very close. I'm sure you can hear the thunder as this is producing a tremendous amount of cloud-to-ground lightning. The signature at the moment, maybe not quite as strong as it was 15 minutes ago. For the moment, they have not, I say they, the National Weather Service has not reissued the tornado warning for Montgomery County.
Okay, David, sorry to interrupt you. They are reissuing that tornado warning shortly.
Yeah, okay. So what they did, they just took it down in the process of reissuing it, and they're going to expand the polygon probably to include the Tomball area, and we'll have to wait and see how far that stretches. But this is still a very dangerous situation here. You're looking at Spring Creek in northwest Harris County, the border of northwest Harris County and southwest Montgomery County. There's the storm right here. It's just south of Magnolia, just to the northwest of Tomball, and that's Spring Creek right there. So now the circulation has moved just to the north side of Spring Creek, and as it's moving off to the east, northeast at about 25 to 30 miles an hour, it's rotating, and so that's the type of storm that can produce a tornado. And Blake, did we ever get a confirmation of a sighting of a funnel cloud or a tornado with this one going into Montgomery County?
Well, there was an unconfirmed report in the town of Waller about 25 to 30 minutes ago from a storm spotter. Apparently, we've got quite a few storm spotters out there this afternoon, which is how we're getting so much information on the Eagle Lake tornado that, as far as we are concerned, is still on the ground. But this is the one, obviously, that has our attention right now. This is the next one with a robust signature. So I am monitoring the National Weather Service so far. There is the only confirmation of a touchdown was in Colorado County, moving into Wharton County, where that tornado is still on the ground. Yeah. But as far as southwest Montgomery County is concerned, nothing on the ground as of yet. But again, this storm does have a history of briefly allowing tornadoes to touch the ground.
Blake, and it just looks to my eye, and it may just be the last frame, but it looks like that circulation is still there. And it looks like it is trying to perhaps bend off to the right just a little bit, like that one back in Eagle Lake was doing.
Once again, and you know, if you just look at the storm, and the viewers at home, just watch this as the radar's in motion here, you can see that storm is spinning like a top. I mean, you can see very clearly how this storm continues to spin right along Spring Creek. So those of you in Tomball, you guys are the next population center that is going to see this vigorous rotation move through. And you know, David, we had this conversation maybe a week or two ago that it is something about the corridor northwest of Houston that is just very active, tornadically speaking, over the last couple of months. And this continues the trend.
We get a lot of small tornadoes here in Southeast Texas. Southeast Texas is not in Tornado Alley. That's further north. Quite often they get much larger tornadoes. You get north of Waco into Dallas and Oklahoma, and that's just where conditions are usually much better for the big tornadoes. So these are usually small tornadoes, EF0s, EF1s, EF2s, winds from 95 up to 120, 125 miles an hour or so. But obviously those type of wind speeds are strong enough to do damage, break limbs, knock down power lines, break glass. And that's why when we say, what do? You move to an interior room of your home away from windows, in a room or a closet where there are no windows is the best, and on the first floor. And you want to be in a structure that has a foundation. A mobile home is not a safe place to be during a tornado. It's just not anchored to the ground, and although I know they have straps over a lot of them, they can be blown over and be damaged very easily. So if there is a structure in your mobile home park, if you're in the path of one of these, if you can get to there safely, that's the best place to go. So back out to the west, there's Sealy. This is I-10, way out to the west. There's Sealy. There's Columbus. This is the thunderstorm that produced a tornado near Eagle Lake, and we had confirmation of a tornado actually on the ground here. And you can see this one is still moving just a little bit south of due east. So it's still a right-hand mover, still have a strong circulation. And the little bit of blue showing up right in here, that might be a little bit of debris flying around the circulation of a funnel cloud or an active tornado here, right along Highway 90. Again, there's Eagle Lake, so we're just moving out of Colorado County. This is southern Austin County right here. So folks, right along Highway 90, Lizzie, you're right at ground zero for that rotation and that storm. Let's go back to the Montgomery County storm. Let's see if they've reissued that tornado warning. So
and they have.
Okay, and that one out in Eagle Lake's active till 2 o'clock. And so this one has just been reissued, and it will be in effect until 2:15, I'm seeing here. And so you can, first of all, a couple of things. You can see how small but intense this storm is. Number two, look at all of the lightning. That tells us we have a tremendous amount of up and down vertical motion inside the storm. Lightning is a great indicator of intensity of a thunderstorm. And when lightning begins to increase in its count, we know we've got an intensifying storm, and that's what's happening here. And again, this is Northwest Harris, Southwest Montgomery. This line right here, that's Spring Creek right there. Tomball, you appear to be in the direct path of this storm at the moment. So folks in Tomball, heads up, and make sure we're on Twitter and we're tweeting this out on social media. So folks in Tomball know you've got a tornadic thunderstorm heading right for your neighborhood. There's 249. Hasn't crossed over 249 in Tomball yet, but it's getting very, very close. So we've got 2920, probably coming right down 2920 right now, about to cross 249 into the Tomball area. Again, that's Spring Creek. And what you're looking at is the Doppler radar looking inside the storm, and it's finding rotation right where the hot colors and the cool colors, the bright pinks and the greens come together. That's where we have a circulation, and that storm is now moving toward the Tomball area at about 30 miles an hour. And again, you know, this is a very strong circulation being picked up by Doppler radar. It's hard to tell from Doppler radar without eyeballs on the ground confirming it, but that looks like it might be a little bit of a debris signature around the backside of that circulation. Again, I am speculating just based on what I'm seeing on radar. We need eyes on the ground to confirm that. Blake, do we have an update?
Now, just real quick, the other side of this is the torrential rain that these supercells are putting down. We're picking up 3 inches of rain in just over an hour, so we've got some flooding issues out there as well. Really want to emphasize again that we've got this right-hand mover, and every storm that we have seen that is taking more of an easterly course instead of the typical northeasterly, because the storm, the general flow is from southwest to northeast, but this one is moving due east at 10 miles an hour. And when you see that right-hand movement, that's usually an indication that if you don't have a tornado on the ground, you're about to.
You know, Blake, if you would stop this at its latest point. And then let's show folks what we talk about with a right-hand mover. So if we draw a line, it was moving a little more northeast, and then it began to move almost due east, and it's that little curve to the right. You know, that's what tells us that the circulation in that storm is getting very intense.
So the general flow is like that, but you'll notice that this storm kind of went like that.
Yep, that's it. So it's moving to the right, to its motion. So it was moving this way, and then it hooked a little bit off to the right. That's another indication that we have a very strong rotation. It's like a pitcher throwing a curveball. The pitcher puts as much of a spin on it as he can, and that causes that ball to spin and turn. And that's what you're seeing with this. It's got enough spin, so it's actually bending off to the right, much like a pitcher throwing a curveball. That's about the best example I can give it to you.
That's a great example, actually.
But when we see that, that tells us, even without looking at anything, even without Doppler radar, if I see a storm like that bending off to the right, I know there's a strong circulation with it. So, you know, Doppler's helping here, but when you can see it actually bending to the right, that again gives us another level of confirmation that we probably have a tornadic thunderstorm here. And once again, to set your bearings, this is Highway 249 coming through northwest Harris County. This is 99. There's Tomball. This is Spring Creek. And then you get into Montgomery County. There's Stagecoach. And that's the circulation right there. It's very small, very tight and compact. But that's worrisome because that's the type of circulation that can produce a tornadic thunderstorm and a tornado. It's on the south side of the heaviest convection, and it's moving right toward Tomball. So Tomball, heads up. If you have some loved ones there, if you're watching us right now, give them a text. Make sure they know to take cover. First floor of a home or business, away from windows as much as possible. Interior room, get as much structure, as much of the frame of the house, like an interior closet. A small room has a lot of frame around it, and that can give you the most protection during these outbreaks. Blake?
And you know, it's interesting. Look at the radar here, David. You see that shower, that storm moving due north, and then it merges with that particular tornadic cell. So that may have actually enhanced the circulation a little bit, which is why we have seen it tighten up here in the last 10 minutes.
That's a great point, Blake. And that's something we call cell merger. The cells are merging. Again, we've got the one coming in from the west, and watch this right here. Comes right in and merges with that. When you see that merger of those two thunderstorm cells, that can briefly really intensify the whole situation. It can also lead to the destruction of the storm itself, given enough time, if that will move on through and kind of rip it apart and shear it out. But at the moment, it appears to have intensified the whole thing. And so what we've got here is this really nicely defined, I say nicely defined, it's a tornado, there's nothing nice about it, but it's very well defined circulation here coming in, and it's about to cross Highway 249. It's just north of the 99 connector. Tomball's right there.
Sorry to interrupt you. We have a brand new tornado warning. All right, so I'm going to read this off. Okay, let's see. Tornado warning for Austin, Colorado, Fort Bend County, and Wharton County until 2:30 at 1:56. So 2 minutes ago, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles southeast of Eagle Lake, moving east at 15. So David, let me zoom into that storm. That's one of those right-hand movers again that have been a problem child all morning. In fact, this would make the third or fourth touchdown that we have seen just in the last hour or two.
Let's stay zoomed out for just a moment. Zoom on out, so we can just, so if you're just joining us, let me set your bearings with what's going on here. Here's the city of Houston. We've had sprinkles. There's just not much going on here right now. But these individual spots, these individual supercells have developed, they're rotating, and they've been producing tornadoes off and on. We've had a confirmed tornado with this cell, which is what Blake was just telling us. They've reissued the tornado warning for this one. This is a very heavy thunderstorm here, Belleville heading into Waller. That's the same path that this storm in southwest Montgomery County moved through just a moment ago. And so this one nearing Tomball is warned till at least 2:15. And now this one down here just east of Eagle Lake now, which we know did produce a tornado that did some damage earlier, have just reissued it. And not only that, but you know what, Blake, look at the southern part of that. See how there may be a little bit of a hook forming there?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's right where the rotation is. Go to the latest view and scope it. And let's see, right over Lizzie.
Well, what I'm seeing here is the bounded weak echo region near Lizzie, and that rear flank downdraft beginning to form there. So certainly an intensifying storm nonetheless as we turn on the velocity scope. There you go. So it looks like still a very vigorous rotation there.
Yeah. And that's why they've reissued it with such emphasis, saying that this is a dangerous tornadic situation.
And you know, given its history, I hate to, you know, sound too alarmist here, but you know, we're starting to get into some populated areas here, and you know, Sugar Land and Richmond and those areas aren't too far to the east. And
so let's zoom out and take a look at where we are.
Yeah, so there's Pecan Grove and Richmond. So, you know, I wouldn't be panicked yet in eastern Fort Bend County, but I would certainly be keeping a very close eye on this because this storm has shown a lot of longevity.
So here's your county line. There's Wallace, East Bernard. Here's the storm right over Lizzie coming down Highway 90. So it may split the uprights, East Bernard, Wallace, but if you're in East Bernard or Wallace right now, you need to take cover. Interior room of your home, away from windows, as that approaches and moves through. The tornado warning is until 2:30. And at the moment, the polygon ends just east of Wallace and East Bernard, and it does not include Richmond, Rosenberg, or Sugar Land, or Mission Bend, or Missouri City. But, as Blake just said, this one's been going for a long time. There's plenty of energy in the atmosphere for it to feed on, and we're just going to have to wait and see if that's able to come all the way into the more populated areas of Fort Bend County. So that's the storm out to the west that has produced a tornado near Eagle Lake, East Bernard. And now here's the other tornado warning, and this one is clearly in a populated area. Excuse me, southwest Montgomery County, Decker Prairie. It's right over the top of you. Tomball, you're right here. Okay,
oh
so
my goodness.
Yeah, so there's your circulation right here. The hot pink colors coming together with the cool green colors. That's your tornadic circulation. 249, Tomball, 2920, 99, you're all right in the path of that circulation, and you need to take cover now.
And Scott Overpeck with the National Weather Service is saying that the storm that we're looking at in Tomball is becoming even better organized, and we're seeing that circulation tighten up even more. So I'll tell you what, Tomball, now is the time. I mean, this is something we're going to take very seriously.
Okay, so I'm listening to you, Blake, and I'm listening as well. So we're going to try to get a timeline on this storm because school is going to be letting out soon.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I tell you what, Blake, zoom out and let's get.
There's a fresh scan, by the way.
So what are we estimating the speed on this? Are we going with 30?
15 miles an hour.
Oh, it's moving
very slowly.
Moving east at 15.
Same with the one in Eagle Lake.
All right, so if that storm speed and motion continues as we're getting toward the school beginning to let out, that circulation, it's just about to Tomball right now. So Tomball, we've got you at 204. I mean, we're just about at 2 o'clock now, so it's right on top of you. Huffsmith, 208. I wonder if we can zoom out and give a little bit of a broader timeline for folks across northwest Harris County, southwest Montgomery County. Again, there's the storm that has the potential to produce a tornado. At the moment, we've not had any official confirmation. We're waiting on that. We're watching for that. There's the path. So if it holds together, moving east at 15 miles an hour, it would reach the Woodlands at 221, right about when school's going to be letting out for a lot of kids, especially the high schools. Shenandoah, 227, Porter Heights, 245, Grangerland, 251, Wood Branch, 305. That's the path of this potentially tornadic thunderstorm. Now again, so far, and Blake confirmed this, that we don't have confirmation of a tornado on the ground yet with this one.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet, but this is the type of storm with a very well-defined circulation that can produce a tornado if it's not doing so right now.
Okay, just getting word from the National Weather Service here. They now say a funnel cloud has been spotted over Tomball.
Okay, well, yes, I agree. We just have to wait and see if that funnel cloud is actually going to touch the ground. So a funnel cloud is defined as a funnel, a circulation that's leaving the cloud base and coming out of the sky, but it has not touched the ground. That's a funnel cloud. A tornado is a funnel cloud that reaches all the way down and actually touches the ground. That's when it becomes defined as a tornado. So a tornado is a funnel that actually touches the ground. So what Blake is just saying is that we have confirmation from a storm spotter that a funnel cloud was spotted with this circulation right over Tomball, and that's where it is, moving over 249, right into the Tomball area right now.
Yeah, and the other thing, not to be confused, is that we get a lot of what we call scud clouds, and these scud clouds can often be mistaken for funnel clouds, but nonetheless, you know, looking at this particular velocity signature, the TVS is very apparent, David, as it continues to push in the general direction of Tomball. And you know, as I was speaking with Erica earlier, and that is the nature of the tornadoes in southeast Texas are very short-lived. In fact, there are many times when a tornado warning is issued that the tornado has already hit. Yeah. You know, I mean, they drop down, they're there for 30 seconds, and they're gone just as quickly. We do not live in an environment that is conducive for your Oklahoma twister-style, you know, tornadoes.
We're not in Tornado Alley. We usually get ones like this, where they produce a funnel cloud, EF0, EF1, EF2, winds of 95 to 120 or 125. But that's strong enough to do damage. Hey, Blake, let's zoom out and let's give the timeline once again so that folks who have kids getting out of school and the schools themselves will know what we're expected as far as the timeline of the movement of this. So the storm itself is right over Tomball. There is a tornado warning for the Tomball area right now for that cell. It is moving east at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. If it continues on that path at that speed, here's the timeline. Huff Smith 207, Woodlands, right in here. You're in the path of this storm. If it holds together, it reaches you at 224. Spring at 232. Again, there's Woodlands, there's Spring. Reaches Harmony by 241, then Porter Heights by 247. Now, quite often, and as Blake was mentioning, these tornadic storms in southeast Texas, they come and go very quickly. These today have been a little bit more persistent. So it tells us the atmosphere is just, it's conducive to the formation of these supercells, and a supercell is a rotating thunderstorm, and that's what we've got here. And so that rotating storm moving right along Spring Creek, northern Harris, southern Montgomery, right there. This is the other tornadic thunderstorm. And so our friends down here moving out of Colorado County and then just north of New Gulf along Highway 90, northern Wharton County now. That's where that second tornado warning is in effect. That one moving east again at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. And just looking at it, watch how the motion bends off to the right.
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to point out.
Right there. It's a right-hand mover. And again, we talked about this. Why do they bend to the right? Because they're spinning. And the best analogy I can give for this is that it's like a pitcher in baseball. When they throw that curveball, they are spinning that ball. And that's why in that rotation, that tight rotation spins and causes that ball to curve and change its direction. That is what's happening with these rotating storms. When that rotation gets strong enough to produce a tornado, like the curveball in baseball, it bends off to the right. And that's how we know it's rotating rapidly and has the type of potential to produce a tornado. And also with Doppler radar nowadays, we can look inside and see it. Oh, by the way, with these tornadic storms, there's also a threat for large hail and straight line wind damage. So you may also be getting anywhere from P to nickel to quarter.
All right, so there's a brand new tornado warning. They just updated that polygon. Now includes just areas north of Hungerford, Kendleton, and Taverner.
And I noticed they're including Wallace in that right now. They extended it east to Taverner and Kendleton. Everybody along Highway 90 here, northern Wharton County. That's an interesting looking signature. Now this storm is a little bit further away from the radar beam, so we're looking higher up into the storm. We're several thousand feet up. this far off to the west, but that is a very well-defined circulation, and the storm itself is also showing a sign of a circulation as well. You putting up the hail tracker here?
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. Boy, that is just incredible.
So we mentioned how these storms.
Wow, 3.1.
So 3.1. So that's almost baseball size.
Yeah.
Again, this is estimated by the radar. But if you have any pictures of any hail out there toward Lizzie along Highway 90 as you get through northern Wharton into Colorado County, we would love to see them just for our own meteorological confirmation so that we can match what we're seeing with the radar with what is actually happening in reality. Here's another estimate of hail size, anywhere from 3 inches to 2 inches or more in diameter. And I was using the baseball analogy to talk about the spin. Now it may be producing baseball-sized hail out here, Lizzie to Chesterville. So that's our storm rotating out to the west. here's our storm rotating closer to the more populated areas of southeast Texas. Northwest Harris County, Tomball, that storm is sitting right over the top of you.
Sorry, David, brand new tornado warning. This now includes the Woodlands, Klein, and Spring. So this tornado warning is until 2:45.
And that's interesting that they're extending them further off to the east.
And it's slowing down. It's east at 10 now.
East at 10 miles an hour. Very interesting. So these storms are very, very well organized, tight. You can see how small it is in scope, but in scale, in intensity, it's incredibly intense. And look at the lightning with that storm. That's another indication of intensity when that lightning gets really strong.
Oh, wow, look at that, David. Look at the blue.
So I'm wondering if that blue is picking up on some debris, Blake. I wonder if that's what's happening there. So
well, there's a brand new scan. So it looks like it pulsed and then kind of went away, but boy, it really powered up there just for a split second.
And it moved a little. It's moved a little further right.
It has.
This was moving right up Spring Creek, and now it is bent a little bit to the south, which is to the right of its own motion. Another indication of a very well organized circulation. So folks in Tomball, 249 in Northwest Harris County, right along the 99 connector. Quite likely that we have, if not a funnel cloud, a tornado that's skipping down and doing some potential damage here. Take cover, interior room, away from windows, on the first floor, if at all possible, in a structure that has a foundation. It is not a safe place to be in an automobile or in a mobile home, structures that aren't tied to the cement. That's what I mean by a foundation, a cement foundation. And just stay hunkered down until that moves through. But again, there's the 99 connector. And so the Klein area, so Northwest Harris County, there's Klein. You're not far. In fact, you are included in that tornado warning. It includes the Klein area, the Woodlands, Spring. You're right on the edge of that. But there's the storm itself moving to the east. And these little blue dots that are showing up, I wonder if that's a little bit of debris that the radar beam's picking up, Blake.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here because, like I said, I'm very familiar with this area. And if you notice, I'm going to draw some lines here, kind of get everybody familiar with where we are. And, David, you'll know this as well.
So 99 to 249,
this is 1960. So there's Willowbrook Mall. So this is going to be well north. But, man, David, you're right. If you look at this very carefully, this thing is even tanking south of Tomball now. So I'm thinking if you're out towards Klein, maybe out even just north of the Champions area, Old Oaks, out there north of 1960, boy, this could really move closer to your direction than we anticipated.
That's interesting. So here's 99. So 1960 right in here. So you're looking at Champions Forest potentially, Old Oaks, Westador, Ponderosa. Not out of the question that those neighborhoods could be impacted if that storm continues on its more easterly direction now as it's bending off to the right. So once again, you've got 1960, the Cypress area, the Klein area, Meyer Park. Those are all spots that are in the potential path of this. It's not on top of you yet, but it's moving more in that direction. And I wonder, Blake, if we can just zoom out, let's flatten out the radar view, and let's watch.
Sorry, David. We have now a report of a funnel cloud, Grand Parkway at Telge.
Okay, sure. So that makes sense. But it's interesting. It's a funnel cloud. A funnel cloud. So this is by a trained spotter. So a funnel cloud is coming out of the cloud base of this storm near Telge, but it hasn't, at least at that point, was not touching the ground. So funnel cloud, good. Tornado, bad. Tornado actually touches the ground, and that's when it can do the damage. But again, what you're looking at here is the Doppler part of Doppler radar. That's inside this circle here, inside the scope. And it can see if raindrops or any particles are moving away from the radar site or toward the radar site. And right here, away and toward. So we know we've got a tight little circulation right there, and that potentially can be producing a tornado. So folks, 249 at 99, Tomball area, out there where 2920 crosses over 249. In that area, you're going to want to take cover. Interior room of your home, away from windows, lowest floor in a structure with a foundation, and just let that pass. So again, there's the Grand Parkway, and there's 249, and that's our circulation sitting right on top of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get as close as I can to see what some of the major roads here are. David, you grew up in this area. You're pretty familiar here. Used to be pretty rural, not so much anymore. Again, it looks like just crossing 249. south of Tomball, Coresville, Lowetta.
Yeah.
There you go. So there's Lowetta Road right there. So I'll draw that in. And again, I'm just trying to get some familiar places for people. So there's Lowetta Road right there. And 249 is right there. So this is north of Lowetta. There's, let's see, Spring Cypress Road is going to be right there. There's Spring Cypress Road right there. And so that circulation looks to be crossing, basically going right along 99, that new Grand Parkway up there, which is so nice, such a nice road.
Hey, Blake, just one moment. So Erica is going to step in here. Erica, you've got an update on what's going on our social platforms right now?
That's right, yeah. So I am in the Weather Center here, keeping an eye on social media. So we are live on Facebook, on Twitter, on every platform basically. So if you can't be watching TV, you know, we're literally getting you covered. And if you have any questions, please do comment on our Facebook or our Twitter feeds that are going on right now, because I'll be able to answer that question. Some of those questions that are coming in have been about the school districts. I know that's been something that people are worried about because of the timing of these storms. So we've checked in with Fort Bend ISD and with Katy ISD, where a lot of those storms are coming in from just west of us. And those school districts, as of what we know so far, are going as a normal school day, okay? So that's the latest that's coming out of those school districts. If you have any questions, log on to Facebook or even on Twitter. That's a very easy way to be able to ask questions, and I'll make sure to slowly but surely get to those, because there's a lot coming in. But yeah, that's all I wanted to let you guys know. But these storms are pretty busy. It's the early part of our afternoon, so it's going to continue into the later portion, which I'm worried about the evening commutes and about children getting out of school. So we'll make sure to touch bases with the rest of the school districts.
Well, Erica, that's exactly what Mom and Dad want to know right now is where is my child? If they're in the Tomball School District up there in Northwest Harris County, what's the school doing? Are they holding them? So you're saying at the moment everything's as normal, but let me tell you, if you're up here in Tomball, you need to go ahead and take cover. If you guys, if we can take Transtar, the Grand Parkway at 2920 is one spot. It just shows the torrential rain and probably some hail mixing in here. So here's 249 at 2920, Northwest Harris County. Boy, do I know this spot well. He's driving pretty quick, but look at the spray coming off there. So very heavy rain, enough to pond up some of the roadways here. This guy's moving pretty quickly here, which tells me at the moment there's not any significant hail at this exact spot. But let me tell you, hail is a significant threat with this storm up here on the northwest side. So again, this is what it looks like, 249 at FM 2920. This is near that tornadic circulation with the cell that is warned until 2:30 up there in Northwest Harris County.
And you know what's nice here is that it looks like perhaps maybe that cell, that circulation is beginning to kind of loosen up a little bit. It's kind of broaden out.
So I was speculating earlier, we had that cell merger that tightened up the rotation briefly, and now as that cell pulls out, it may shear out that circulation a little bit. Just eyeballing it, that looks like the circulation is shearing out just a little bit, but it still looks pretty strong. Again, just a moment ago, we had a sighting of a funnel cloud near Tomball. A funnel cloud is circulation coming out of the cloud base, but it does not reach all the way to the ground. It stays above ground level. That's a funnel cloud. A tornado is a funnel cloud that has worked its way all the way down to the ground, and that is when it can do damage. That's when it becomes defined as a tornado, a funnel on the ground.
Let's take a look here at the storm in Colorado and Wharton counties, still showing a very vigorous rotation as well. Of course, this is the one that has had a history of producing tornadoes on the ground. And give me just 1 second here to get my bearings. Let me zoom on out. And this is the one here, David, again, moving into Fort Bend County, East Bernard right now. These guys are on the cusp. Certainly with some baseball-sized hail that we were seeing earlier being picked up by Doppler radar. But now it's sort of a mess. But you can see there's that couplet right there, that TVS signature, tornado vortex signature, just to the south and west of East Bernard. And this is headed towards the general direction. Man, if you draw a line right towards Hungerford, and that's that right-hand mover we've been talking about.
It's got a hook echo too. I mean, if you look at where that rotation is with the radar, and then take off the scope and just look at the precipitation. I mean, that's a hook right there. See how it's curved? That's what we call a hook echo. It's another way for us to just take a quick glance at the radar and see if the storm is circulating. And so what you've got is a circulation right in there. the radar needs something to see, so it's seeing the raindrops. This circulation continues all the way around. It's just there are no raindrops down here in this part, but that's where your circulation is, right there. Here's East Bernard. This is right over or just south of Highway 90. Again, this one is out here in northern Wharton County. Moving east, perhaps if it holds together, could get into western Fort Bend County, but it hasn't done that yet.
So, you know, what's interesting here is that you have, as this storm cell, we're talking about structure, you'll notice this little area right here, this little notch. That's what we call a bounded weak echo region, an indication that the storm is certainly very intense. But once the circulation has passed by, David, we often look at what's going on the backside of this, and this is what we call the rear flank downdraft, and that in and of itself, even though it's not the tornado, can do damage. By the way, can we hop over to TxDOT, the tower cam? This is going to be 240. Well, they just changed it. Guys, can we go back to what you just were looking at? Whoever's in the control room.
Okay,
there you go. So you can see that camera bouncing around. Heavy. This is Lanier Parkway.
Again, right along 249 at Lanier Parkway. Look at the tremendous amount of spray coming off the cars. It's heavy rain. The camera is shaking. Now, this is high up on a pole, and the shaking is getting worse. This is near our tornadic warned cell in Montgomery and Northwest Harris County. And, you know, even if you're not under a tornado or that funnel cloud, the winds associated with this particular storm are tremendous, and they're really, I don't often see the camera shake like that. So very windy with that system out in Northwest Harris County. Let's go back to the radar. Oh boy.
Wow.
Let's go up. Let's go see what that looks like up there on radar in Northwest Harris County. So that's right where we were looking at there at 249.
I'm getting there, David. Hold on. There we go.
So this is the spot where that camera's shaking. So the storm has now crossed 249. It's crossed over the Tomball area, or right in the southern portion of the Tomball area. There's 249. There's the 99 connector. So this is going to graze the Klein area. So folks near Louetta, folks on the northern side up there, Meyer Park as well, that's going to be moving, it looks like, right close to your neighborhoods here, as it may cross and then be south of Highway 99 in North Harris County over the next 15 to 20 minutes. The system itself is moving slowly east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour at best.
And there's a brand new scan right there.
Yeah, I see that, and I just wonder if, see how this has become a little bit elongated? I wonder if the circulation itself is weakening. We could still have very strong winds with this, but I just wonder if that's allow it to weaken, because I don't see the real bright colors anymore.
No, but these storms have and you know this, these storms cycle. You know, it's like when you run on a treadmill and you've got a lot of energy, and then you kind of slow down, you peter out, you catch your breath, and these things power back up again. I mean, and we can see this for hours.
They breathe.
They breathe, exactly.
Absolutely do. They'll inhale, and like an ice skater, they'll pull their arms in and spin faster, and that's when the tornado can really wrap up tight. And then they'll let their arms out like the ice skater does and slow down, and that's when things appear to settle down. But we just have to kind of babysit the radar, because at any moment that type of circulation can pull its arms back in like the ice skater and produce a tornado and do some damage. So again, Tomball, Coralville, Klein, along Highway 99 across North Harris County, east of 249. That's where you want to take cover, interior room of your home, interior room of your business, away from windows. Again, on the lowest floor, you want to get as much frame of the structure around you, so that if a tornado does hit your structure that you're in, you are protected by as much house around you as you possibly can.
Hey, David, take the tower cam again. This is 249 at Boudreaux, and it's a complete whiteout. They keep changing it right when I say it. Guys, can we go back to that last camera?
249 at Boudreaux, if we can, the one you just had up before this.
Well, they can't change it.
Okay.
So anyway, I guess it was complete whiteout wherever that is.
Well, not only a tornado threat, but very heavy rain, and there's also a hail threat as well. We saw the radar estimating perhaps golf ball to baseball size hail with the storm out near Eagle Lake. I have not had any reports of any large hail in this storm up near Tomball, but we're monitoring for that as well. Let's zoom out. Let's let everybody set their bearings if they're just joining us. That's the possible tornado now just south of Tomball, moving toward the Klein area, about to cross over the 99 connector in Northwest Harris County. Let's go ahead and zoom all the way out. Let's get a big picture of everything that's going on. And if you can, let's flatten it a little bit. We've got it tilted back a little bit. Let's flatten it up.
Sure.
Not only do we have these tornado warnings, but also these are producing very, very heavy rain, so multiple aerial flood advisories for the area. That's a flood warning up near Dallas. But again, let's get back into southeast Texas, and we'll take a look at the active tornado warnings that are going on right now. So this is the one in northern Wharton County that did produce a tornado near Eagle Lake. That is still warned, moving right along Highway 90, heading toward East Bernard. It looks like it's going to be at the intersection of 90 and 60.
All right, David, real quick.
Yeah.
They have canceled the tornado warning. They're going to let that one go for now. And they have reissued the tornado warning for Wharton and Fort Bend County.
And that's this cell right here, about to cross East Bernard. So Blake, that's interesting, because what we were observing with that shearing spreading out,
yeah,
that was indeed what was happening. It was spreading out and weakening. So for the moment, that's good news. They've allowed that tornado warning in Montgomery County to expire. This is the most dangerous storm out here right now. Moving down Highway 90, that's 60, that's East Bernard. The storm itself, see that hook? That's the hook echo. And you know, we've got this leaned back so much. Can we set it up straight? It'd be easier for me to look at and everybody at home to look at as well. There we go. So there's our circulation. And Blake, this one is still moving off to the right.
It is, and this has had multiple reports of tornado touchdowns. Now, the nature, the characteristics, because every storm has its own personality.
Yep.
Every storm, every hurricane acts differently. Even though they're all the same creature, all storms are generally the same. They all take on their own personalities, and the personality of this one, boy, this is a problem child.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that you have to take the belt to periodically.
And also, remember, we're looking at a radar beam that's several thousand feet up. It's a ways away from the radar site, and we're still getting that type of signature with it. So again, if you were watching from East Bernard, where Highway 60 crosses Highway 90, this is northern Wharton County, about to cross into Fort Bend County. You need to take cover right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I zoomed out a little bit, boy, those colors really pop. I mean, they're becoming brighter, which is an indication to me that this circulation may be on the upswing again. We just got done talking that these storms breathe. Then they power up and they power down, and this one may very well be powering up again as it heads towards Hungerford. But what's so interesting here is that southeast trajectory when everything else is moving to the east-northeast.
So let's show this. So let's put that to the latest and zoom out just a little bit, put it to the latest where it is. So what are we talking about? Moving off to the right. So the storm began life out here, and as it was moving east, it began to now move east-southeast. So it literally bent. That was its original track, and it has bent off to the right. When they do that, it means they're rotating violently. It's just like a pitcher throwing a curveball. They spin the ball, and the harder the spin, the more it'll curve. The tighter that storm spins, the more it's going to bend off to the right. And so we know it's rotating. And then we also have this tool called Doppler radar that we can scope it and look inside. And that's what we were looking at just a moment ago that shows us the rotation. So folks in East Bernard, Highway 60, Highway 90, where they come together, northern Wharton County, about to cross over into far western Fort Bend County. Take cover, interior room of your home, away from windows. Mobile homes, homes without a foundation are not a safe place to be during a tornado. An automobile is not a safe place to be during a tornado. And again, that is moving east. Hey, you know what, Blake? Let's put a timeline on that.
Let's do it.
Let's track that. Again, this one moving east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So kids are getting out of school. Buses are going to be rolling. Parents are concerned. This one moving just a little bit south of due east. So if that were to hold together, you know, it reaches Beasley at 246, Pleak at 302, Needville by 314, Thompson's by 330, and then Brazos Bend State Park by 345. I'm really hoping that this thing has fizzled out before it reaches all the way to Brazos Bend State Park. With that being said, these storms have had a very long lifespan today.
Yeah, they certainly have, and I'm just looking at our Weather 2 system here, and it looks like, man, the vast majority of the weather really has calmed down. We're really down to just 2 supercells now, one of which seems to be on the downswing. That's going to be up towards the Klein Spring Woodlands area.
Let's take a view at that.
And the other one, this obviously down here in Wharton County out towards East Bernard, has just really, really shown some longevity there, and that's the one I'm most concerned about. So the Woodlands, boy, last night I was texting David, you know, it was like, man, the lightning. It was
the Bob
just
Seger concert.
unbelievable. Well, it looks like they're getting a repeat of that Bob Seger concert, David.
Yeah.
It's we've got a lot of lightning, but the good news here is I don't see an organized storm, and what I mean by that, I don't see that classic hook shape. I don't see that bounded weak echo region. I don't see that rear flank downdraft showing up nicely on the radar.
It has spread out, and if first of all, we'll set the bearings first. So again, this was a storm, produced a couple of funnel clouds, no confirmed tornado. The tornado warning has been allowed to expire just in the past couple of minutes, but you've got a mean storm heading towards Spring, Klein, and the Woodlands also getting tremendous lightning and thunder. And looking inside that storm, you scoped it there just a minute ago, Blake. Let's scope that. Earlier, it looked like to us that circulation was beginning to spread out.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. The producer was talking to me. What was that? David, what was that?
So again, in the line of the storm here, the Woodlands area, there's Spring Creek, Spring as well. Spring High School, going to be letting the kids out here pretty soon. At the moment, they'll be let out into a thunderstorm, but at the moment, the thunderstorm does not appear to be tornadic. It looks like the circulation with this one has weakened enough so that it's not going to be producing a tornado, at least for the moment. Obviously, we're watching it like a hawk. There's 99. It's just north of Klein, the circulation, but Klein, Louetta, folks along 1960, if you're not getting lightning, you can certainly hear the thunder off to your north. The storm itself moving due east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. And I can also see by looking at the loop, the intensity of the rain has decreased a little bit as well. So again, it looks like that storm is beginning to decrease in its intensity. Look how slow this is moving near Waller, just sitting here. So although this one not tornadic in central Waller County, it certainly has the potential to cause some flash flooding there. And so does this. So expect these roads up here, 249, all the roads on the west side of the Woodlands now, Louetta Drive, you're going to see multiple high water spots. So any travel up here in northern Harris County, southern Montgomery County, right there where I-45 and Spring Creek meet, it's going to be very slow travel.
Okay,
that
David,
is blinding rain.
Real quick, they've reissued the tornado warning for Fort Bend County and Wharton County, this now until 3:15. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near East Bernard or 10 miles north of Wharton, moving southeast now at 15 miles an hour. So that's that right-hand movement we were talking about now, a distinctive southeast movement with this system.
That's the storm we're talking about near East Bernard. This is the only one right now that has a tornado warning with it, showing a very well-defined circulation over East Bernard where Highway 60 crosses Highway 90. So you need to take cover again, bottom floor, away from windows, home or business with a foundation. It's that broken glass and flying debris that can be most dangerous in these situations. Beasley, Kendleton, in Fort Bend County, you're in the path of that storm. Boy, that thing is diving south. Right-hand mover. So there's the spin right there. There's the spin. Yeah.
Let me move that up. I didn't realize it was so far down on the TV screen.
There we go. There we go. That's the circulation right in there. And that also appears to be almost a secondary circulation up toward East Bernard. But Hungerford on 59, you need to take cover. Again, this is a dangerous storm system, potentially producing a tornado. Hungerford, maybe it's going to pass just north of Hungerford, between Hungerford and Kendleton as it crosses 59. There's the county line with Fort Bend County and Wharton County. It looks to me like the storm itself is beginning to shrink in size, but it's still very intense, rotating, and again, tornado warning has just been reissued and re-upped for this storm, and it's going to be crossing over the river here into western Fort Bend County here pretty quickly. There's the warned area, the polygon, the warning in effect until 3:15. At the moment, Needville, Pleak, you're not involved in that warned area. Richmond, Rosenberg, you are not involved in that warned area. Sugar Land, there you are. You're not in the warned area right now. It's inside the pink polygon. And you can see it's moving a little bit south of east, moving east-southeast at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. These have been slow movers.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, David. We now have a, quote, definite funnel cloud in Wharton. Let's see, spotters video stream showing rotation wall cloud on the East Bernard storm.
Okay, so I assume that means someone from Wharton is looking north and seeing the funnel that this is producing on its southern flank, just north of Hungerford. Right in there. That's where it appears to be our tornado is being produced, just north of Hungerford right now. So again, take cover, interior room of your home, away from windows, and let this one pass by.
Yeah. So that's coming in from, looks like maybe an emergency management office. And, you know, this isn't surprising. We've had a very, very long history. You know, Erica Lopez, our newest meteorologist, and I have been tracking this since before the noon show. In fact, probably going all the way back to 11 o'clock this morning. And there you can see, I believe what we're looking at, this is Brett Buffington's footage.
Storm tracker.
Yes, and the storm tracker. And I believe at last check he was near Rocheron, headed south and west. So, you know, it certainly looks like one of those tornadic cells. You know, David, these clouds just have a look to them.
Yeah.
You know?
That you can almost see the greenish tint.
Right.
That greenish tint. The sky in storms that are producing hail will turn a little bit of a greenish tint. It's because of the path of light through those chunks of ice, the hailstones.
Refraction.
Turns it green. So this is Brett Buffington in the KHOU 11 storm tracker. He is heading toward that storm near East Bernard, heading out of Fort Bend County into Wharton County. We're looking at the storm that right now is warned for a tornado moving in northeastern Wharton County. This one has a definite funnel cloud with it. So Brett in Storm Tracker is on the way, and we're going to effort pictures as quickly as possible. But you can see the right-hand side of your screen. That's the storm with that towering cumulus cloud. Looks like it's anviling out a little bit up top. Go ahead. It's anviling out a little bit up top, spreading out up there at the top of the atmosphere, about 40, 45,000 feet, maybe as high as 50.
Oh, there's a brand new scan right there. Velocities. David, come check this out. Come look at this while we're watching Buffington's footage. We've got a nasty couplet beginning to form here. Once again, just to the east and southeast of East Bernard, moving towards Kendleton. So Kendleton, now is the time. Hungerford and Kendleton, if you're out there along 59, now is the time to seek shelter. This is if it is not on the ground, it is about to be. As we continue to take a look there, I believe at Brett Buffington's footage, this storm, the tornadic part of this is going to be on the right side of your screen as he heads down 59. This is going to be just off 59 to the right. So. Yeah, so we're going to continue to watch Buffington. So, David, I think what we're looking at here is if he is headed this direction, we're looking at sort of the left side of that rear flank downdraft.
Well, he's going to be right nearest the circulation. I mean, if he keeps going, we should get a shot of this coming up here pretty soon. We've got an update on Katy ISD school information. Let's go ahead with that.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm monitoring social media. I know there's so many questions about what's happening with schools. So Katy ISD, they have shelter in place. So just keep that in mind if you're a parent who is planning to go pick up your child anytime soon. Shelter is in place at Katy ISD. We also have Spring ISD is another one. My producer just let me know. Also, letting you guys know that Seven Lakes High School, there has been a notification sent out. They have shelter in place as well. There's lots of questions coming in on Facebook and on Twitter, which I'm trying to get to that. And our viewers, or our producers, and the whole weather team here, we're trying to confirm on ISDs. Lots of questions on Klein ISD, Magnolia ISD. We cannot confirm what is going on with their school districts and what the situation is, but we are working on it. Again, I am going through our Facebook questions, our Twitter questions, trying to answer them the best that you can. If you have any specific questions, that is the best place to reach us on the live feed. Just go on Facebook on KHOU, type in your question, and I'm trying to track, you know, if you're wondering what's happening in your neighborhood, comment below, and then I'll be able to get to that. Obviously, lots of questions coming in.
All right, thank you, Erica, for the update. We are tracking social media. Your pictures and your updates help us tell the story and see exactly what's going on. This is a piece of video that we just got in. This is as this storm was near. This was when it was near Eagle Lake.
Okay.
So this was about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And you can see the storm did produce a very thin, almost rope-like tornado that appears to be touching the ground there. This is when it was near the Eagle Lake area about an hour ago. This is the same storm that Brett Buffington is in our storm tracker and driving toward right now in northern Wharton County, about to cross over into far western Fort Bend County. And again, there's that shot of that tornado. The same storm that produced this is now being warned and is very likely producing a funnel cloud, if not a tornado, as it heads toward the county line of northern Wharton and western Fort Bend. And let's go to the radar and let's get an update. And Blake, I want to put a time tracker on this. So
yeah, look at that couplet, David. That's about the best we've seen all day. And if there's not a tornado on the ground, it's about to be. And those of you who are in Kendleton, we cannot stress enough, now is the time to seek shelter. Just getting ready to cross over the Southwest Freeway. It looks like just over the county line, or near the county line of Wharton and Brazoria counties, or Fort Bend counties.
Let's freeze this. Let's go to the latest image, and let's put a storm track on that so the folks in Kendleton and into western Fort Bend County can get an idea of what they can expect as far as a timing on this. So again, the storm is moving slow. It's only moving east-southeast at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. If there is a tornado, it's right there.
There's a brand new scan.
Yeah, and you see how it moved a little south? So that means we've still got that spin on that baseball. That's where the circulation is, right there. Here's Highway 60, so it's going to be crossing over 60, and then that is 59. There's Kendleton, there's Powell Point. So Powell Point 246, Kendleton 250, Needville 314, Gee 325. What we're doing here is we're trying to take measurements of how quickly the rotation is, the gate-to-gate shear. So 37 to 41 miles an hour. That is well above the surface. This is still several thousand feet up. The radar beam at this distance is several thousand feet up. Very well-defined tornado signature with circulation here, that couplet. And there's the storm as we look at the raindrops. And look at the intensity. That brighter, that lighter pink just south of East Bernard, that is a decibel level that is probably indicating at least nickel to quarter-sized hail. So if you got your car outside, you might want to try to move it in if you can. And yourself, your person, as well as you want to go to an interior room of your home away from windows to be safest from this storm.
Not very many.
Let's go back to Weather Tracker. So we have stopped. Okay, so look at, that's interesting. I wonder if, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I wonder if that is the tornado or if that is a scud cloud. Well, you've got here, see where it becomes more grayish? That's rain. So rain falls down. So that's a downdraft. There's your downdraft. We still have a downdraft right here, but where it's clear here and where you've got the cloud base dropping, see how the cloud base drops right there? That's what's called a wall cloud, and that indicates updrafts. So you've got air moving up, maybe more than 100 miles an hour, straight up, right underneath that wall cloud, up into the storm. And then as it's dropping back down, the rain is carrying it down, and those are your downdrafts. So violent, very heavy rain. This is where your hail is going to be, and your heavy rain. This is your updraft, and this is that southern flank. You've got south wind feeding into it right here, and then right up into that wall cloud. That's where you've got that updraft, and that is where, if we've got a tornado, that's where it's happening right now. And so Brett's pulled off to the side, and that looks like we've got a tornado on the ground right there.
Yeah, I just text Brett right now, see if he can see anything better than we can. Yeah. He's just out of Rocheron. He's on the Southwest Freeway. Oh, what? Wow, what is that?
Is that
on the ground?
It looks like it might be a tornado.
I'm going to call Brett right now. And I'm just going to do this live on the air. Let's see what he says.
So this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, so this is our storm tracker. We've zoomed into our wall cloud, and this, if we've got a tornado, it's happening right in here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm live on the air right now, and the viewers can't hear you, but just know we're taking your footage live. Is that a tornado we're seeing on the ground?
It's hard to tell because you can't see the base because of the trees.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So what? 59.
You're on speakerphone. You're live on the air, Brett.
I'm trying to get you a better location. This is just south of Beasley, north of Kendleton. This is where you were talking about the storm across 59. I stopped short of the rotation clearly to not put myself in danger, but you can see certainly the top of this supercell thunderstorm, and you have a clear shot when it gets past these trees here. We'll certainly be able to see, a lot better what we're looking at, but you can certainly see that there's a strong rotation in those thunderstorm clouds for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked there for a minute because some of the circulation was hidden by the trees. Brett, can you maybe drive up a little bit or turn your cam or zoom up? There you go. Okay, so it looked like certainly that is rotating, and we're not sure if it touched the ground. Have you seen it touch the ground recently? Well, it looks like maybe it's trying to reach the ground right there, David.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. So this is a wall cloud is what we're looking at. Here's the cloud base, and then it lowers. See how it lowers right here? That's what's called a wall cloud. That's where we've got the most violent updrafts. And if we're going to get a tornado, that's where it's going to be, right there in that wall cloud. So
Brett,
again,
zoom in.
Brett is in our storm tracker. He's driven down 59. He is pulled over because the situation is just dangerous. You don't want to get too much closer to this, but this, at the moment, doesn't seem to be rotating that violently right now. This may be a moment where it's relaxed a little bit. But if we're going to get a tornado out of that, that's exactly where it is going to be, coming out of that lowering cloud base. Again, you can see the normal cloud base and see how it drops down right here.
Real quick, David.
Yeah.
Brett, you're still live here. The producers want to know your exact location.
Hold on just 1 second, Blake, and I'll get it for you.
Okay, just text me, man. I'll let you go. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All right, bye.
Well, you can see the trees are blowing out here, but this is one of the other things that makes storm tracking so difficult in southeast Texas is we have so many tall trees, pine trees, oak trees, that makes it difficult to storm track. So again, this is a live view happening right now. Our storm tracker, Brett Buffington, is in it. He's driven down 59 and stopped just short of this supercell thunderstorm that has had a history of producing a tornado. We know it produced a tornado in Eagle Lake because we showed you the video. And this is the spot that, if it's going to produce a tornado again, is most likely to do so. This is the wall cloud. This is where we have updrafts. You can see how the normal cloud base, then it drops down right here. That indicates we've got updrafts, rising air. The air cools, condenses, and it forms a cloud at a little bit lower level. And so that's your wall cloud. And that's where, if we're going to get another tornado reported here or produced here, that's where it is going to happen. Off to the north, or again, that's south. This is north. You see how I've got this more gray area? That is rain coming down. That's heavy rain and potentially some hail. But again, where that cloud base is lowering right into here, this is where we have the most violent updrafts, and that's where we would see a tornado if it's going to form. But right now,
oh, look at that, David.
I can confirm.
This is the storm in northwest Harris County once again. Boy, it's really ramping up.
Let's go back to the radar real quickly. So they haven't rewarned again, but we've got a circulation here again. And look how far south it has drifted.
Yeah.
So the Klein area got hit. So Bammel. So again, you've got 1960 in here. So that's Old Oaks and Ponderosa and Westador. Champions Forest is right in here. Willowbrook Mall is going to be further south. But that's a circulation, and this is the type of storm, just looking at the circulation, that can produce hail and torrential rain and flooding conditions on the roadways. But again, at the moment, they have not re-warned for it. We do not have a tornado warning for this one in northern Harris County, but that is a mean thunderstorm heading in northern Harris County across the Bammel area. You've got Westfield High School right in here, Spring High School right in here, so we're going to split the difference between those two. Again, Katy ISD, at earlier reports they were sheltering in place, but that storm in northern Harris County moving east and will be crossing I-45 and 1960 within the next 20-25 minutes. What you're looking at over on the left-hand side of your screen, that is a live picture of the tornadic thunderstorm in northern Wharton County that has had a history of producing a tornado. We're taking a very close look at it at the moment. From this vantage point, it is not producing a tornado, but you can see that little dip in the clouds right over the roadway. That's where we have the strongest updrafts. And this is this is a live picture now of Brett's, where it's beginning to rain, where Brett Buffington is, and is obscuring our view just a little bit. So two storms that we have our eyes on. This one, severe thunderstorm in the Klein area, in the Bammel area, along 1960, right along Cypress Creek. So this is going to be right along Cypress Creek in northwest Harris County. Ponderosa, Old Oaks, Westador, Champions area getting impacted by the heavy rain right now. That is moving east-southeast at about 10 to 15. That's I-45 in northern Harris County. That's the direction the storm is moving. It's still showing signs of a little rotation, but not enough to produce another tornado. So at the moment, we do not have a tornado warning for that one. But it's this one out here in northern Wharton County that is most concerning. And Blake, if we can, so here's the Harris County storm. Heavy lightning and thunder, small hail, torrential rain, street flooding likely. Here's our storm. This is where Brett is, where our live picture is. Let's zoom in on that. That's our storm down there in northern Wharton, about to cross over into Fort Bend County, right across the county line. In fact, it's sitting on the county line right now. Kendleton, Hungerford, you need to take cover, interior room of your home away from windows. That couplet has weakened a little bit, Blake.
It certainly has.
And that's probably why, when we look at that live picture, that wall cloud is not as well defined.
No, it's not. And that is certainly good news, because there for a while it was very worrisome that there was going to be a tornado drop out of that. Bad news, David. Looks like the NWS chat has crashed. I'm certainly very busy this afternoon, so I'll try to get that back up and running. But we know for sure that that tornado warning will remain heading out towards western Fort Bend County and far eastern extreme portions of Wharton County. But you know, David, I'm getting more concerned now about that storm up in the Spring Woodlands area.
I wonder if it's going to tighten up a little bit.
Yeah, it may. And there's a look at Brett Buffington's footage once again.
So this is great. So come to your television and take a look at this. This is just a wonderful way to observe a potentially tornadic storm. Here on the right-hand side, we've got the radar display. This is the Doppler part of Doppler radar, and that's your circulation right where those hot and cold colors come together. That's where we've got a circulation, but it's not quite as strong as it has been. So on the left-hand side of your screen over there, that's a live picture on the ground of that. And it's not showing a tornado at the moment. We do not have a tornado on the ground. Again, that's right along Highway 59, just north of Highway 59, north of Hungerford. So radar imagery, live imagery, and as we were discussing here, that looks like it's weakening. That circulation's weakened a little bit. As we look at the live picture, we're not getting a tornado out there right now. In fact, I don't see a funnel cloud. I see a lot of rain. I see a lot of wind near Hungerford, but at the moment, and on that lattice volume scan, there's your circulation just north of 59. And on the left-hand side of your screen, that's our storm tracker with Blake Buffington in it. He's pulled over, and we're not seeing a tornado with that at the moment. This now is the thunderstorm in northern Harris County. This is producing tremendous cloud-to-ground lightning. It's dangerous. You need to stay inside. From Spring, south on I-45, almost to Greenspoint Mall, and then along 1960 and Louetta and Spring Cypress in northwest Harris County, that's where that very heavy rain is coming down, and it's causing ponding on roadways. It's going to dump some small hail, very heavy rain. At the moment, not warned for a tornado, but we continue to monitor it, as that one earlier did produce a funnel cloud up near Tomball.
Yeah, Brett's texting me here. He said if you watch the video, if we can go back to Brett Buffington's feed, he is in southwest, on the Southwest Freeway. I'm still trying to get an exact location, but he says you can see that the clouds are beginning to lower once again. But this, if there is a tornado with this near Beasley, David, it looks to me that it's now rain-wrapped.
Yeah, maybe rain-wrapped. And if there is one, it's going to be... if you guys want to take that up full, take Brett's live feed full and put it in the key. So this is our storm tracker. It is Brett. He is on Highway 59. He has parked himself near Beasley, just north of the storm. If it's going to produce a tornado, it's going to be right here. This is the rain area where you have downdrafts. And then back in here is where you're going to have your updrafts. And if there is a tornado, yeah, as Blake pointed out, it could be rain-wrapped right here. But that circulation, as we looked at on Doppler radar, appears to be weakening. And now this is the other challenge when you're storm chasing, is not only the trees, the tall trees here in southeast Texas make it difficult to spot storms on the ground, but now that the rain is coming in, it makes it very difficult to see. Quite often tornadoes will form and they'll be on the ground, but they can be wrapped and shrouded in rain and almost impossible to see. I'm not seeing the winds tremendously violent here right now.
Jen, are you in the control room?
I think that our circulation here, at least for the moment, has weakened. And we talked about how these storms can breathe. They can inhale and exhale like an ice skater. When they pull their arms in, that skater spins very, very quickly. That's when a tornado can be produced. And sometimes the storm, like an ice skater, will relax, let the arms out, and that's when the circulation will slow down. And then you just get a bunch of rain. And hopefully at some point when the arms come out and it slows down, it can fall apart, and that would be the end of it. But for the moment, this storm, again, this is far northern Wharton County, about to move into western Fort Bend County. We still continue to watch that. Say that one more time. Okay, Erica has an update from the weather desk up in the newsroom. Erica, what's going on?
Yeah, okay, so here's the latest news that's coming out from the weather desk. KHOU has had a shelter in place that has just been lifted. So if you're a parent tuning in again with your child who's at KHOU, that shelter in place has been lifted. A couple of other shelters that are still in place right now: Lamar Consolidated ISD, Spring ISD, and Magnolia ISD. Still calling to confirm several other ISDs. I know there's lots of questions. If you have a question, I am answering those on Facebook Live. and also on Twitter. So you can comment below. We're also streaming on all platforms to get you covered with the latest updates on still one active tornado warning with confirmed tornadoes because of that storm, and we'll make sure to answer your questions. So again, you can tune in on KHOU on our Facebook Live or also on Twitter. But other than that, that's the latest updates I have coming out from all the schools, because school is about to get out of session here.
Well, absolutely, it's great information. Thank you, Erica. You know, I'm a dad of a teenager in high school, and if this storm was near Jersey Village High School, I would be very, very concerned. So I know you are as well, parents, where these storms are being produced. So this is the Doppler part showing circulation of this storm just about to cross over out of Wharton County into western Fort Bend County. Brett Buffington is live with our storm tracker unit. He drove down 59 and he is stopped on the road and is taking a live shot of that storm. Brett, can you give me an update? What does it look like out there? Brett, can you hear me? Okay, well, Brett Buffington, again, you're looking at a live picture on the left-hand side of your screen. That's our storm tracker that we took off as quickly as we saw this and headed down 59. Brett Buffington live in our storm tracker unit. Where are you and what are you seeing right now, Brett?
David, can you hear me now?
Yes, Brett, I can hear you.
Sure you guys can hear me because I have a... Awesome. I want to tell you, you guys were asking about a specific location. I'm about 11 miles just south of Beasley. This is just along the Southwest Freeway. And it's about 5 minutes ago when I popped that shot up. That was the leading edge of this supercell thunderstorm that you guys have been talking about. And you could certainly see in the picture that I gave you first, the lowering of what appeared to be a funnel cloud, a very weak funnel cloud. And then within about a minute or so of the video there, of giving you that shot back, I should say, you can see that, that funnel cloud go right back up into the wall cloud above it. So whatever circulation that we were watching the front side of this storm, at least here from the ground, it appears that part is over, and now you're getting the rain here as this storm moves through the area. No hail, no anything like that. Again, several miles away from where that rotation was indicated on the radar. Certainly listening to you and Blake on the radio, watching the radar as we came down here and able to get that picture. And certainly that's in the video that we can feed back in just a few minutes, so you can see that again for yourselves, the lowering and then raising back up of that funnel cloud. At least appeared to be a funnel cloud from where we were standing. I didn't see it touch the ground at all once we got here just a couple miles north of this storm. And again, you're looking at the rainfall now. That's what we have here in Beasley, just north of this storm as it continues to pass through our area. David, Blake?
Brett, thank you so much for driving down there and giving us those live pictures. It is so important when we have the threat of a tornado to know exactly what it looks like. Radar tells us one thing, but eyeballs on the ground tells us another. So Brett and our storm tracker, excellent work. Stay safe down there. As we go back to the radar, and if you guys want to put radar in the key here, I want to give you an update on what's going on with our two severe thunderstorms.
I'll give you my...
So let's go back. Let's put weather 1 up here. So again, this is the storm about to cross Kendleton, and we've noticed a couple of things during the past 15 minutes. Erica and Blake and I are looking at this, and it's not rotating nearly as strong as it was. So now the live shot you were looking at is Brett parked right here with the heavy rain coming in, but the storm is not showing nearly as strong a rotation as it did earlier. Still, a tornado warning is in effect, but that's good news down here. It looks like it's weakening, and with our eyeballs on the ground, we don't see any tornado. This storm in northern Harris County has gotten interesting all of a sudden, not because of a tornadic threat, but because of a straight line downburst wind threat that it looks like we picked up on Doppler radar. Now, first of all, very heavy rain here, Spring, 99 connector, Hardy Toll Road split, heading south into Harris County. You've got 1960 in here, you've got Louetta, you've got Spring Cypress, all getting violent rain and perhaps violent wind. So that, and you can watch as we put this in motion. Watch how the green appears, whoosh, it appears. That appears to be not a circulation, but straight line winds coming down out of the cloud and just hitting the ground and fanning out. And that's the type of downburst that can cause a lot of trees to come down, and it looks like and can do damage that is similar to a tornado, but it's not. Straight line winds. That's got to be straight line winds. So the green, the brighter green colors are raindrops that the radar is seeing that are moving toward the radar site. The radar site's in League City. So that's whooshing out, and that's probably producing some very strong wind gusts. in excess of maybe 50, 60, even up to 70 miles an hour is possible with that type of a downburst. It doesn't look like a circulation. It looks like a downburst. So straight line wind damage now, northern Harris County, I-45. So this is just north and near the Greens Point area. So if you're in Greens Point and you're watching us, you should go inside and take cover from this, as those straight line winds can be very violent. There's Bush Intercontinental Airport. Hey, Blake, I bet you we're going to see some significant delays because they see this coming as well. They've got tower radar and they see that coming.
Yo, absolutely. So obviously I'm very familiar with this stretch of freeway because it takes, I see it every single day. And you know what? It takes about 2 hours to get home sometimes. I have lots of time to ponder this. So think Ritchie, think Airtex, think south of 1960. My favorite restaurant, Gringo's, up there in the Spring area. This is where all of those areas are going to see the strongest winds right now. Now, it says that tornado warning from Montgomery County. That is no longer the case. So, guys, if we could drop that banner, that tornado warning is not in effect for Montgomery County. This is strictly a severe thunderstorm warning. And, again, more than likely, David, for very large hail and some very strong winds.
Yeah, and what you'll get with these storms is you get such a tremendous updraft, and it just holds and cools that air, and then eventually that air gets so cold, and it drops. And quite often when it drops, if there's a little dry slot in there, it can get even colder. And that cold air is heavy, and then it sinks rapidly straight down to the ground. Now, when it hits the ground, it's got nowhere to go but spread out. And that's what appears to be happening right here. See how this just comes out of nowhere and then just drops and spreads? That's straight line wind damage. Blake, let's zoom in here. Let me see if any of the neighborhoods pop up. So if you're in the Greens Point area, Bush Intercontinental Airport area, yeah, Westfield along the Hardy Toll Road, this is where we've got this tremendous threat for straight line winds.
Jeez Louise, look at that hail core, dude. Let me
this is probably dumping at least nickel-sized hail. It is possible it could be larger than that.
Let me turn off the lightning so we can get a better look here.
Yeah. So what we're doing is turning on our hail tracker. That doesn't look as large as it did out in Wharton County.
1.7.
Yeah, so you're looking at a golf ball, maybe.
Yeah, and some of this could be rain contaminated.
Exactly.
So we'll continue to see that. But boy, looking at the colors don't lie. And when you're looking at that kind of reflectivity, I mean, we're talking about DBZs, David, of 60, 65 DBZs. I mean, that is certainly quite a storm there, pushing right into the spring. So this is going to be south of the Woodlands, right where 45 and the Hardy Toll Road come together. So I want you to think the Exxon campus. This is going to be where the 99 connector is. This is where Springwood Village, or Springwoods Village, I believe is the name of it there. And this is headed in towards neighborhoods like Fox Run, Imperial Oaks, just south of Oak Ridge North. If you're out there towards the Harmony area, this is going to be, think Burnham Woods, think Rayford Road, think, all those areas right there along the Hardy Toll Road, generally just along Spring Creek and just south of there into the Spring area itself and north of 1960.
So if you live along Spring Creek, that's Spring Creek right there, and that's where the heaviest of the rain and potentially some pretty good hail is coming down right now, coming right for the Spring area. There's I-45, that's 99, that's the Hardy Toll Road. So all of those three come together there in northern Harris County, a part of the county that has seen tremendous growth recently. All you folks in here, that's very heavy rain with potentially some large hail heading in your direction. It's just south of that, heading into Westfield along the Hardy Toll Road, east of I-45, where we have this largest threat for straight line wind damage. Hey, Blake, let's zoom out and let's put a timeline on this so that folks can get an idea of when this may reach their area, because Kingwood, Humble, Bush Intercontinental Airport, and all those neighborhoods in there, you're in the path of that storm. And while we do that, I know that, Erica, you were efforting an update on some of the schools and the situation there. I know that Katie had lifted their shelter in place. Do you have an update on that right now?
Yeah, so here's some where they are clear. So Klein ISD, they are clear. They do not have a shelter in place. All Lone Star College campuses, they do not have any shelters in place either. So again, shelters that are in place as of right now is Lamar Consolidated ISD, Spring ISD, Magnolia ISD. Yes, Katie has been lifted. So we are still trying to verify all the other ISDs that folks are commenting below. Our producer just let me know that Magnolia has been lifted, so I correct myself there. But so I'm monitoring Facebook, Twitter, and trying to answer your questions also. I know a lot of people are about to hit the road or say leave work, and they're wondering where the storms are, where they're heading. I can try to give you a little personal forecast there if you can comment below and have any questions. But we'll continue to verify all those schools also, because school is out of session. I know parents are wondering what's going on.
It sounds like once the tornado threat in Harris County had diminished, that the school districts kind of stepped back just a little bit from their shelters in place, which is the right thing to do. However, and we're going to give an update on this storm right now. Thank you, Erica.
Yeah, of course.
This storm, so you brought up the point. You're telling people where it's going and when it's going to arrive. So here is the answer to that question right now with the storm in Harris County. That's the one right there at the Hardy Toll Road split, North Harris County, I-45, right over the Spring Woodlands area, moving east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So it's a severe thunderstorm right now with the potential for wind gusts above 55 to 60 miles an hour. Reaches Bush at 325, Humble 341, Atascocita 402. Eastgate, Dayton, Liberty are all potentially in the path of that storm if it continues to hold together. I'd be surprised if it held together that long. But these storms today have had a history, an unusual history of staying very compact and very dangerous for a very, very long period of time. So that's the timing on this storm as it heads east right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, be careful with what you say. Oh, it's going to, we've been tracking, poor Erica and I, we've been at this since like 10 o'clock this morning. Oh, it's not going to last 30 minutes, David.
It's been very interesting because ahead of these storms, the air is very still. Very little wind out ahead of the storm system. It's sort of like, what storm? And then it arrives and bang, that's when these storms are producing all of their energy. It's right inside a very tight little spot. This is a perfect example. Very tightly wound storm. It's very small in size, but very intense in scale. This one still has a tornado warning for it, possible rotation right in here. And so that's what the storm looks like on radar. Brett Buffington is in our storm tracker, and that's what it looks like on the ground out near Kendleton, where the rain is torrential, and they are looking for any type of damage or any hail or spotting for us, eyes on the ground, looking for any type of tornado activity, which at the moment we are not seeing in this storm in northern Wharton County, crossing over into the western Fort Bend County line. But we're watching for it as well, and so, but this is just the type of weather you don't want to be out in, so take shelter until it passes your neighborhood. Thank you, Brett, for giving us these live pics. And again, this is the storm, which is now a severe thunderstorm warning. Let's look at it. So,
let's look at it.
Transtar, Hardy, and I-45, right where that heavy rain's coming down. I can usually gauge how bad it is by watching the traffic.
I know.
It's heavy rain, but they're still moving. If it was hailing here right now, traffic would most likely be coming to a standstill. They stop when it hails. I know that.
They stop on a sunny afternoon.
They stop. Yeah, exactly. It is Houston. But it looks like at the moment this is very, very heavy rain. Not enough hail or any hail because the cars aren't slowing down at all. But this is right in the rain core of this heavy thunderstorm in northern Harris County, right there at I-45 on the Hardy Toll Road split. Here's I-45 at Hardy Toll Road. Another shot of it where it splits off. I believe that's going to be heading south. Traffic's moving. It's torrential rain. Slow down. But it's moving, which tells me that at least at this spot there's not any large hail, because hail hitting the windshield on these roads at this time and the cars would almost come to a standstill. That's good news. So we've just got a severe thunderstorm up here. It's not a rotating supercell anymore. This is not producing a tornado, just a whole lot of rain right now in the Spring area. Right there, Highway 99. Fresh concrete on Highway 99. There's the Hardy Toll Road. There's I-45 right there in the Spring area. All the neighborhoods, the little neighborhoods here in the Spring area, you're getting heavy rain. But at the moment, it doesn't appear to be producing any hail that's too terribly large, if any at all. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on this and show folks where this is heading. Again, this is the one right across the heavily populated areas of northern Harris County. Spring area, Spring High School. That's a very slow drive out of high school this afternoon. Storm is moving east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Holding together, it would reach the Humble area by 3:38, Atascocita by 3:59, and then Eastgate at 4:33. So that's if it holds together. But again, as we've just told you today, they've really had a long history of holding together. So I think the best news to tell you is that this storm has weakened. Although it's still quite strong, it's now turned into one of our strong thunderstorms that we get quite often in the springtime. It's not rotating. We do not have a tornado warning for it, and that's very good news. In addition to that, our storm in northern Wharton County also appears to have weakened, although it is still under a tornado warning. Brett Buffington has not been able to see a tornado. The rotation appears to be weakening, so maybe things are going to settle down. And it looks like our downburst winds here may have settled down a little bit. Strong winds are heading toward Bush Intercontinental Airport. If you have a flight, or if you know somebody who's coming in and out of Bush this afternoon, that's going to slow down at least the ground traffic and probably flights trying to land coming into Bush. Although the pilots are very good at that, they don't want to get caught in that straight line wind that can really cause for a hairy landing and takeoff. Here's our tornado-warned storm, which is just crossing over the river into Fort Bend County. Kendleton, you're under that tornado warning. Looks like the storm might be showing a little rotation, but as we look at the Doppler part of Doppler radar here,
it looks pretty sad.
It's sad for the storm, good for the people.
Right.
It looks like it's weak, and that rotation here is not nearly as strong. This just looks like a rainmaker right now as well. So things are settling down outside. That is very good news. There's Brett, who looks like he's punched through on the backside of that storm we were just looking at there in Kendleton. Now south of the storm, it appears.
In fact, they've just issued a severe thunderstorm warning. They're going to let that tornado warning expire, which will do so in about 5 minutes.
All right.
But they went ahead and changed that over to a severe thunderstorm warning. And this is going to include areas near Needville, areas just to the west of Brazos Bend State Park, New Gulf, and Damon. So those of you in far southern Fort Bend County, this is where that severe thunderstorm warning is going to be. So again, that tornado warning, David, only about another 4 minutes. The tornado threat likely done with this system right now.
It is. We can see that. So although they still have the warning up, it's not tornadic right now. And what they've done is what Blake was just explaining is that they've just issued this, which is a severe thunderstorm warning for heavy rain, maybe some gusty wind, maybe some small hail. Needville, you'll be in the path of that. But it does not look tornadic, and it continues to weaken what rotation there is with this at all. This is southern Fort Bend County, so this is going to pass well south of Richmond, Rosenberg, and Sugar Land, in Missouri City and Mission Bend and Cinco Ranch. So this is going to be well south of you guys. But if you're in the Needville area, expect some gusty wind and heavy rain as it moves in your direction. And I think overall the good news is everything seems to finally be weakening a little bit, Blake.
Yes, it does. In fact, Eric and I were just out here at the weather desk going over everything, and I think we're in agreement that things are finally beginning to calm down a little bit after a relatively unexpected afternoon as far as the tornadoes go. You know, the Storm Prediction Center, even upwards of until this morning, 8 o'clock this morning, said, you know, just a very marginal chance of your renegade afternoon showers. And boy, this has been quite a interesting afternoon, but thankfully things are beginning to calm down now. And, you know, I guess we're going to follow this until at least the warning expires, and then maybe we get back to everybody's afternoon.
Erica's got an update. Erica, what's going on out there? How are the school districts doing?
Well, you know, busy day for the school districts also. I have an update on Tomball ISD. They are clear. No more shelters are in place for Tomball ISD, but parents, if your child does go to Tomball ISD schools, well, you can expect delays for transportation. And I would say that's probably the rule of thumb for a lot of these areas because of, even though we might not be talking about tornadic situations in most of the areas, we're still talking heavy rain, and localized flooding is definitely possible in some areas. So just keep that in mind, that you may have some delays if you're a parent who does have a child who takes the bus to and from school. So again, here's a little walkthrough, a rundown of what's going on. Shelters that are still in place: Lamar Consolidated ISD, Spring ISD, officially Magnolia and Katy ISD have reported that their shelters in place have been lifted. Also, Klein ISD is clear, and Lone Star college campuses are clear also. So just keep in mind that if you have any more questions, I'm monitoring Facebook, KHOU's Facebook and Twitter, and trying to do my best to answer all these questions. You guys are doing great at keeping me busy, obviously.
Everybody wants information on a day like this, Erica. Thank you so much for doing that. We're still monitoring this storm system in northern Harris County. Looks like the most intense part of it is reaching toward the Bush Intercontinental Airport area, so neighborhoods near Bush, you need to take shelter from this one. It's not tornadic at the moment. We're scanning inside the storm. That's what all these colors indicate. It doesn't look like it has a tremendously strong circulation with it, but when we go back to just reflectivity, Blake.
Sorry, I'm still trying to log into the National Weather. Oh, it's back on. We're back online. Hallelujah.
Great.
All right.
So let's go to reflectivity.
Oh, there's a brand new scan, by the way.
Yeah, and you know, it's just there's a little bit of a couplet here, but not a very strong couplet. And quite often that circulation will be on the southern flank of the heavy rain. What you're seeing here are the raindrops, and then what you're seeing there earlier with the is the circulation inside the storm. Very heavy rain, Spring Creek, northern Harris County. It's now just a severe thunderstorm, not a tornadic thunderstorm at the moment. We're watching it. You know, I think if we zoom out a little bit and loop it, let's just see if this thing is showing any signs of rotation.
I don't know, it looks like to me it could be pulsing up again.
I mean, we've got some inflow. We've got a little inflow coming in here. You know what we had, Blake? We had a little bit of a cell, almost a cell merger.
A little bit.
But it's merging up here near Roman Forest. Roman Forest, Atascocita, Humble area, this whole area right here may be about to really blossom with very heavy rain and maybe some dangerous cloud around lightning, so heads up 59, 69. That may intensify rapidly.
Okay, real quick, I just want to get everybody caught up here now that I've got my Weather Service chat room back. That severe thunderstorm warning up in Montgomery County and northern Harris County, the main threat with this is tornado. So even though it is not a tornado warning, hail, wind, but also they're monitoring that tornado threat very closely. So they've actually added that wording to the warning itself.
And if you remember, a severe thunderstorm includes the threat for a tornado.
Yes.
It's just that at the moment, this severe thunderstorm is not rotating strong enough to produce one. But as we've been talking about, quite often they'll do nothing for a while and then all of a sudden spin up and create a tornado that can do some damage. So although you're not warned for a tornado right now, from this particular cell here in northern Harris County, Spring Creek, just north of Cypress Creek, we're still getting at least a little bit of rotation showing up right there near Bush Little Airport on radar. And so you can expect perhaps some strong straight line winds, small hail, torrential rain. And it would not be a bad idea just to stay on the first floor of your home or your business away from windows just in case that were to spin up a little tornado. So, and there we go. That tornado warning has now been lifted for our thunderstorm moving into southwest Fort Bend County.
Yeah, it certainly has. And, you know, we've been anticipating this now. I mean, that storm, at the rate it's decaying, will be gone off the radar here in about 20 minutes.
Blake makes a good point. So notice how it's the pink and it even pulses up to a bright white in there. Very intense rain earlier, and now it's weakening. It's still a heavy storm, but it is weakening.
And there's no lightning with that, at least according to what we're picking up here on the radar.
Yeah, and lightning is a very important indicator. Lightning indicates up and down, violent motion, vertical motion inside the storm. It polarizes the ions, and that's what causes the lightning strikes. You get a positive charge at the top, you get a negative charge at the bottom, you get a positive charge at the surface, and those three interact and can produce the lightning. But if we're not seeing lightning, it certainly gives us it tells us that the storm itself is weakening. So overall, things are weakening, and that is very good news. Let's just check the lightning, make sure that's not unchecked.
Oh, it is unchecked.
Yeah.
No, my bad.
There we go. No problem. So our north...
It was hiding in plain sight.
Oh, but look, but that's exactly what's happened here. So notice with this storm, not nearly as many lightning strikes as earlier, and then compare that to the storm up here in northern Harris County and all the lightning with that storm. So we still have a much more intense thunderstorm with the storm in northern Harris County. Let's go ahead and zoom up to that one. Yep, still.
Boy, that one's a beast.
And we've still got those pink colors indicating decibel levels with radar, 60, 65. Let's go to Transtar, I-45 north at Spring Cypress. Here's what it looks like on the ground from our Transtar camera. I-45 north at Spring Cypress, yes. There it is, torrential rain, traffic's moving. Again, that tells me we're not seeing any large hail, large enough to bring traffic to a stop, and it doesn't take much. You know, pea-sized hail you can drive through. Anything above that in traffic, with my experience, almost comes to a complete standstill. So the windshield wipers are on high, It's a slow go. You do not want to get out in this. Stay where you are and let it pass up there in northern Harris County. But again, I-45 at Spring Cypress, this is going to be right along and moving just east of I-45 over the next few minutes. That's the torrential rain associated with that severe thunderstorm. At the moment, not tornadic, but it's still possible that that storm could produce tornadic-like winds as it moves across northern Harris County. Here's the big picture.
Yeah, they were wanting to show. They were wanting to see future track. I think it's good for the viewers to kind of know when all this is coming to an end.
Sure.
Because we have another round on the way.
You want to try to run the HRR?
I believe that's what we have up here.
All right.
Let me just double check my work because the lightning was hiding in plain sight there.
So we're efforting. We're going to show you the forecast track of this storm with one of the computer models, the rapid refresh model that updates every hour. And in these type of situations, quite often it can give us some very good information on where the storms are going. So this is what it thought it would look like at 4 o'clock. Yeah, and it just has it generally moving east and weakening.
So maybe another round heading into the late.
Yeah, it looks like another round around early Saturday morning, and that's what we had expected. So a redevelopment of storms early in the morning. If you got plans Saturday morning, expect rain and thunderstorms. Here's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then as we head into the afternoon, storms are going to clear out. They're going to push east, and we'll actually, I think, see some sun on Saturday afternoon. So this is in the morning tomorrow. What are your plans tomorrow morning? Another round of storms expected to move in.
Now that was the HRRR. This is the RPM high resolution, 4 kilometer. So let's take a look.
And it picked up nicely on that thunderstorm, and it weakened it. The one that's
did.
in North Harris County. It weakens that one rapidly as we head toward 4:30, 5 o'clock, which we're almost at. And that actually agrees with what we're actually seeing are the storms weakening. And then there's the scattered thunderstorms, maybe some strong storms southeast counties early tomorrow morning, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but the RPM isn't very excited about it like the HRR is.
Yeah, it's and that's actually been a trend. Yesterday, looking at the RPM, it wasn't too overly abundant with storms Saturday morning. Some of those could be severe because that actually looks like it's going to be the tail end of a frontal boundary.
Yeah. So I think the problem child is going to be first thing in the morning. Of course, I'll be here to get you. Hey, I'm back on the weekend, so I know we've had a lot of. I've had a lot of Facebook messages. Where are you at? Where are you at? I'll be here first thing in the morning to keep you guys up to date. But I really think it's going to be an after midnight to about an 8 a.m. thing.
Let's take a look at that thunderstorm in northern Harris County.
Yeah, let's
again.
do it. Let me close this out. All right.
So again, you're looking at a computer model there. And here is where the rain and the thunderstorms and why we've been on the air all afternoon is going on. Northern Harris County, tremendous thunderstorm. What a light show. 18 hours apart, the light shows across the Woodlands and Spring with another thunderstorm cluster coming across. This is not producing a tornado at the moment. It's a severe thunderstorm in the yellow box. It is moving east at about 15, 20 miles an hour or so. Heaviest wind and rain right north of Bush Continental Airport. There's Imperial Oaks, there's Spring, there's Bush, Kingwood, Dogwood Acres. It's right in the path of you. And that's heading, if it holds together, the north side of Lake Houston will see some heavy rain and thunder. That is about to be a harrowing drive on the bridge, 1960 bridge, Highway 6 bridge going over Lake Houston as the storm approaches. This is most likely creating delays at Bush Continental Airport. If you've got a flight and you're waiting on a loved one to come home and they're delayed, that's why. In fact, that's the type of storm where if they're coming in from Dallas, they'll sit on the airport in Dallas. They'll wait there until that storm finally goes through. Let's put a storm track on that, Blake. So it's heading east at about 10 to 15, excuse me. And as it moves east, it's cloud to ground lightning, very heavy rain, gusty winds, small hail that are the biggest threat with this. Atascocita 352, Eastgate 426. If it hangs on, it goes into Liberty County, Dayton by 5 o'clock. So that's the path of the storm heading due east. So if you've got kids coming home from school across anywhere from Humboldt to Kingwood up to Roman Forest, Atascocita area, Lake Houston area, north side of Lake Houston, that's dangerous cloud to ground lightning. That will slow them down on the bus stop, and they may need to just wait where they are. You know, don't try to rush home in this. This is not a time to try to be a hero. Just stay where you are. Let the storm pass. It's going to take a little while. It's only moving east at about 10 miles an hour or so and dumping very heavy rain. So there will be ponding on the roadways here across the Hardy Toll Road split where it meets I-45 in the Spring area and eventually Humble, Kingwood, Roman Forest, north side of the Lake Houston area. Atascocita, you're going to get, it looks like you're going to get hit by the southern flank of that. There's Kingwood, there's Timberland, there's Highway 5969 heading east. Here's Westfield. This is going to be 1960 east. So right along the east side of I-45, 1960, getting that very heavy rain and thunder. That's the one that eventually crosses over Lake Houston. The pink and lighter pink indicates the possibility of some small hail. So folks along Rayford Road, east of Harmony, that's where we have most likely have some hail coming down, and that is moving east. If you zoom out just a little bit, so folks who are going to be on Highway 5969, right in here, pick a spot. There we go. Moving east toward Dogwood Acres. And so folks on the north side of Lake Houston, you know, if your car is outside right now, you may want to move it in. It's got the possibility of seeing some hail with that storm. But again, this has now been downgraded. No more tornado warnings. Just a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell in northern Harris County right now, moving east at about 10 miles an hour.
David, just a quick update here. It looks like things are beginning to wind down a little bit.
Yes, they are, which is very good.
So we've only got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. I think we're going to wrap this up here at 3:30, which is in about 5 minutes. We're going to toss it over to Ellen so we can kind of get our 4 o'clock show together. And,
and look, they just updated this. That's a new aerial flood advisory. So this is producing high water spots on the roads out here. It's not going to be a big flood with river or creek or bayou flooding, but definitely street flooding right along the Spring area, along Spring Creek, just north of I-45. Let's go ahead and look at the TransStar shot, I-45 at Spring Cypress. You know, that's the mess you're getting out into if you choose to get out and drive in that in the Spring area. I would say you definitely want to stay home as the rain on I-45 is still very, very heavy. The good news is the storm has weakened. It's no longer producing a tornado signature of any type. Just the threat for heavy rain and gusty wind with that storm across North Harris County. And again, that one's moving toward Bush Intercontinental Airport, Atascocita, Kingwood.
Do you have any roadways? Any specific roadways, Jennifer? Sorry, guys. Those. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So if we've got hail with this, it's right there where the pink is, just east of Spring, right there over Spring Creek. That's moving east. There's Highway 5969. So Atascocita, north side of the Lake Houston area, Dogwood Acres, Roman Forest, you're in the path of that storm. This is producing a tremendous amount of dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning. You're going to want to stay inside until that passes. And that may take a little while because the storm itself is moving slowly, very slowly, moving east only at about 10 miles an hour. While we've got this up, let's show everybody who's in the path of the storm once again. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on this. So this one moving east, so northeast Harris County, north side of Lake Houston, everyone near the Bush Intercontinental Airport area, the Spring area, moving east at about 10, holding together. That would put Humble, Atascocita, Eastgate, and Kennebec all in the path of this storm that at the moment has the potential to produce gusty wind, maybe in excess of 45 to 50, hail, maybe pea to dime to nickel to quarter size. Torrential rain, and that's why we have this new green box. That is a aerial flood advisory. That's a notch below flash flood warning, so it's not a flash flood warning, it's an aerial flood advisory. It means street flooding is very, very likely across northern Harris County with that storm as it heads east. And there it is. You can see the radar just updating. Still some heavy rain in Spring. That may aggravate any street ponding there. So school buses, make sure you're driving very, very slow. Take your time out there. Moms and dads, if you're picking up kids from school in the Spring area, make sure you take your time. No need to rush. Expect some high water spots and just expect to be slowed down. But the worst of it is now moving just east of Spring, and it's actually crossed over Spring Creek into southern Montgomery County, moving east again. There's 5969. Okay. There's Humble.
Say we're flooded. Could you repeat those for me?
And that's interesting. The rainfall rate of it.
Roads in Oaks of Devonshire.
Oaks of Devonshire.
Enchanted Oaks. And Candlelight Hill subdivisions. Is that all we have? Okay. Yes.
All right, so those subdivisions up in the Spring area where this heavy rain has gone through, we do have reports of street flooding. We had rainfall rates of about 1 inch in 15 minutes. That's a rate of 4 inches per hour. The gutters on your street are designed to handle a rainfall rate of a maximum of 2 inches per hour. So if you get an inch in 15 minutes, that's way more than it can handle, and you're going to get street flooding before all that water can get down the gutter and get into the creeks and bayous and drain out nearby. So that's why we've got the street ponding and high water spots are likely. Okay, so things have settled down. The tornado warnings have expired. We're going to continue to monitor this. We'll break in if we get a tornado warning. We're going to go to Ellen for the next half hour, and then we're efforting all the pictures of tornadoes and flooding of the day, and we'll have a complete update and rundown for you on KHOU 11 News at 4 o'clock. So we'll see you in a half an hour for a complete update.
And she was like just crossing the street, and I kind of like ducked down in the cab like she could see me because I was kind of scared, you know. But I remember I did Jay Leno one time at the Tonight Show. This is a terrible story. So I'm on the Tonight Show. I'm 25, 6, 7, something like that, and that's